Hello, and welcome to the Recovery Addict channel. Today, we begin a new journey as we take the channel in a new, exciting direction. We'll still be watching the same trials, following the same cases, but we'll do it in a new and exciting way. Welcome to Recovery Addict ASMR. Good morning. I am the Recovery Addict. We have an exciting day in court today. We'll be heading up to Michigan to continue the Stermer trial. We've heard so many sounds out of that courtroom already, and we expect many more. I'm excited to bring you the sounds of justice. I'd also like to welcome Allison Gunnell, who was first in chat today. Allison, thank you for whispering quietly to all of us. Hey y'all. Hand emoji XX. Allison, if you would be so kind as to keep the internet running for all of us throughout today, we'd greatly appreciate it. Just to get us started before court begins, we're going to begin with a little bit of evidence bag sounds, just to warm things up a bit. There. Wasn't that nice? Court's going to begin in a moment. Just make sure you wear your headphones and turn the volume all the way up. You don't want to miss a thing. Okay, guys, I'm sorry. Happy April Fools! Happy April Fools! As much fun as it would be to have an ASMR channel and watch court, we are not going to do that. We're not going to do that. I think I lost like 500 subscribers in the last 2 minutes. So, oh my goodness! Hope you guys all had a wonderful, wonderful evening and good night, and are ready for a great day today. Happy April Fools! Don't believe anything you read on the internet today. It's all lies. It's all lies. Every story you see, it's lies. I tell you, lies. I do think though that this could be something. ASMR edition, quiet court is in session. I don't know why the resolution went to Minecraft level. But, all right. Well, we're done with that. We're done. I promise. All right, apparently I need to start an ASMR channel. So, if you haven't left by now, this is the intro to let you know we're back. We're back. Oh, we have some birthdays to celebrate today. It's awesome. Can you imagine ASMR all day in court? It would be great. It would be great, but at the same time, it would be terrible. It would be terrible. All right. Yes, you should make ASMR. It's going to be, if I do it, it has to be a faceless channel, and I'm not going to tell you anywhere where I'm at because I don't think I could bear with the crossover. Because once the connection was made, everyone would know, and then it would be like, hey, guess what RA did on his ASMR channel? Do ASMR in the evening. What is ASMR? It's this. Those little sounds in your headphones that just trigger every nerve ending in your eardrums. Like that. It stands for something. I don't know what it is. But anyway, we're back. Happy Tuesday to you. Happy Tuesday. Little updates where we're at. The baseball bat trial is living right here on this hard drive. We got it. I'm not sure if we're going to post it here over on Top Mark Media, but for those who wanted to follow that trial and see how it ended, we'll have that for you. Other than that, I probably need to delete that intro. It's going to live forever in infamy. Autonomous sensory meridian response. Yeah, if you have to ask, you probably won't enjoy it. That's what I'm saying. But let's go ahead and do the birthday stuff, and then we'll kick off court because it has begun, and we're a little bit late. And I was too busy messing with background music and everything. Thanks for the compliments, though. I do. If I ever do decide, to do an ASMR channel, I know I've got a few supporters. All right. Good morning. Let's see. Gina Wanbina. Am I saying that right, Gina? Tony Zamora. Tony, happy birthday. Tracy Ames, Martine, Gina Catchell, all celebrating the birthdays. Okay, I'm going to mess up these names, unfortunately. I just know I am, so I apologize in advance. But let's do this. Everyone stand up, take a deep breath. Shoulders back, project your voice to the back of the room. Blend your voice with your neighbor. Warm up with me if you will. La 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 la. There it is. We're going to sing to Gina Wanbina, Tony Zamora, Tracy Ames, Martine, and Gina Catchell. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Gina Wanbina, Tony Zamora, Tracy Ames, Martine, and Gina Catchell. Happy birthday to you. Gina Wanbina, Tony Zamora, Tracy Ames, Martine, and Gina Catchell. Happy birthday. I realize there are many special days, but today is your special day. Thank you for choosing to celebrate with us, because I know there were a million people you could have celebrated with and a million places you could have been. But no, here you are with us. The privilege, the pleasure, the honor is ours. Hopefully we can turn some of that back to you and make your day a little more special. Help yourself to free pancakes at Denny's, IHOP, Village Inn, Waffle House, McDonald's, Andy's Grill, Bob Evans, and Tammy Dunlap's house, but not necessarily in that order. The best part was the evidence bag, says Camilla. That's how court ASMR goes. Let's see. All right. Yes. Sensory meridian response. ASMR. That's what it is. I like it, Petrified. I like it. I'll have to hurry and reserve that channel name now. I was pretty pleased with the whole Sounds of Justice thing. I was chuffed about that. All right, happy birthday. Whoa. Okay. Hello. Good morning. I guess everyone's playing April Fool's tricks today. So, let's see, Babs Austin. She's fired, I tell you. Babs Austin says, so my message wouldn't go forward because I mentioned April 1st significance, and it's not to reflect me because I chose to stay. Greeners, I have big news. We're leaving our spouses and eloping to Costa Rica and moving into Samantha Terry. Agreed to take his name and flag. Recovery Addict gave us his blessing. That's good. Drum solo? I almost missed the drum solo. Yes, I'm pretty much ignoring everything. Let's see, I have bad news. Thal and I are getting a divorce. Oh, terrible. I'm ignoring all news. I apologize if today is something dramatic or big or terrible happens in your life, because I might think it's a joke. And you can understand why. We're on the internet, and it's April 1st. So, I mean, there's baseball stadiums out there that are announcing that all the concessions are going to be free for all games. I think that one's going to come back and bite them. But all right, welcome. We're going to begin by jumping back to court and continue where we left off in the Linda Stermer. Oh, by the way, I have a little announcement regarding Linda Stermer. Tomorrow night on Courtroom Confidential, I will be a guest there. We'll be talking a little bit about the Linda Stermer case. So if you guys know Josh or have been there before, please come back. And if you haven't been there, please come for the first time. We're going to hang out and talk about this. Josh is absolutely fantastic. His team is incredible. I love working with them. That's going to be tomorrow night, the Wednesday night. I think it's like 8:30, that time frame. So, well, where can I watch the baseball bat trial? I'm invested. You could either watch it directly on the Courtroom if you're watching it live, but, I mean, it's going and you would have missed anything that happened this morning. Or I've got it and I will post it once it's done, probably to Top Mark Media, our alternate channel. I haven't posted anything over there for a while, so that's probably where it's going to go. Let's see. All right. Anything else? No, I think we need to just kick off court. So let's see. We're going to go. Where's my mouse? Mouse is missing. Found it. Now it's lost again. Okay. There we go. This will go right over here. And get some audio going. All right. Judge is in. We love all the Joshes. Joshes are just great.
Case of People versus Linda Stermer. Counsel are present. Ms. Stermer is present. Any matters to address before we bring in the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Let's address it together. Or you can approach. Apparently, you can approach. If you're going to approach, we're going to skip that part because, we want to see court. Sidebar continues, sidebar continues, sidebar continues.
When are we going to break for lunch, Judge?
That was a long sidebar.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this knowledge will be the truth, only the truth?
The judge is blinded by the light, literally.
And you're Mr. Shinsky, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Secondly? Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Shinsky, new witness this morning.
Good morning, Mr. Shinsky.
Good morning.
So I believe we left off last week. You were conducting an interview in the driveway with the defendant. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that was at the scene.
Yes.
And so is this common to do the interviews at the scene?
Yes. Normally we would drive up, meet with homeowners, and work right out of our vehicle and conduct interviews, everything right on that site.
And when you typically conduct these interviews, is it common for people to interrupt or come up to the car or come up to the scene?
Yeah, not unusual. Neighbors, people passing by, family members, will come up. Oh. Okay. And to have people walk up, curious people, things like that is not unusual at all.
So granted, this is just a few days after the fire that you're conducting this interview, correct?
Correct.
So you're saying that it's common for people to just be curious as to what happened and stop by?
Yes.
And you conducted an interview, I believe, on January 9th and one on January 10th. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I believe, I'm not sure where we left off, you had recorded those interviews?
Yes.
And then they were transcribed into an actual written transcript. Is that correct?
Yes.
And were you able to then check the accuracy of the recording against the transcript?
Yes. Our clerical staff would type it, and then you listen to the transcript, read it all the way through. Any corrections or anything that need to be done are done so that it accurately matches what the recording has on it.
And you did that, and you checked it for correct accuracy?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as People's Proposed Exhibit number 6. And if you could just flip through this for me and tell me if you recognize that.
This is so funny. Interview in progress. If the interview van is rocking, oh wait, that's a different sign. Never mind. There's some of that ASMR we promised. Oh, good old lick the fingers. It's one thing I would never do on a witness stand. You never know what's been up there or what's touched what.
Yeah. It appears to be the same.
And it's the same. Are there any corrections, deletions, or changes to it from when you originally provided the transcript?
Yes, there has been areas that have been blacked out.
And does it appear from just glancing through that many of those areas that are blacked out are some of those extra conversations?
Yes.
Conversations with those in the car as well as those approaching the car?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time I would move for People's Exhibit number 6 to be admitted into evidence.
Have no objection, Your Honor.
Court will receive People's Exhibit 6 into evidence.
I'm going to have you maintain that as we go through some of them and show them on the screen. As part of your interview with the defendant, did you have a drawing or like a floor plan done of the house?
Yes, it was done, I believe, by the end of the first interview, that first day. Ms. Stermer had appointments and had to leave, and then her daughter Brittany came to the site, and she's the one that actually provided a floor plan of the upper and lower floors.
And when you say the upper and lower, would that be the main level and the basement?
Yes.
And did the defendant have an opportunity to look at that floor plan?
Yeah, on the second day when I did my interview, a lot of that second interview was going through the floor plan, just with a general description of the building, what was in it, contents, items. Significant amount of the interview was pertaining to the layout and what was in the building.
And did she adopt that drawing that was done by her daughter as accurate?
Yeah, I believe she did.
The judge is literally blinded. There's just a beam of sunlight just right in her eyes.
Your Honor, at this time, I believe defense counsel is stipulating to the admission of People's Exhibit number 7, which is the floor plan and is 2 pages.
Yes, Your Honor.
Court will receive People's Exhibit 7.
Thank you, Your Honor. And then permission to publish the jury. And again, this floor plan then was used throughout your conversations in the interviews conducted to use it as points of reference.
Yes.
Oh, and Your Honor, there's a copy for each juror. So I've stapled the first and second page together and made a copy for each juror. And I'm sorry, and this was something that you referred to then throughout the interview in terms of getting points of reference. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to have counsel then load up the transcript, and I'd like you to have it in front of you so that we can go through it together. I'm not going to have you read all of it, so I'll direct you then to what pages, since it is so lengthy. So I'm just going to have okay, this is the first page of the transcript, and this is just where you introduce yourself, and does it list out then the people that are attending?
Correct.
So I'm going to have you go to page 4 of the transcript. Counsel, can you do that, page 4 for me? At the top of the page, there's a J and there's an L. What does the J stand for?
The J is me, and the L would be Linda Stermer.
So the J is for your first name, Jim?
Yes.
Okay. And so I'm going to have you start at the top of that page and read then through that large paragraph. So start with the question that you asked at the top of the page and then read through her statement to you. And then just be mindful then of the redactions.
Yes.
Thank you.
The question is, okay, go ahead. If you want to just with Sunday morning or what was going on. Answer, Sunday morning I had got up and went down to the marathon and gotten some eggs and some breakfast meat and stuff to cook that morning. Filled up the blazer and then came home, started coffee, and Todd was still in bed at that point. He got up and I gave him the receipts for his medicines, prescriptions, and the last couple of days' receipts that I had spent. He got very angry with me because I hadn't recorded them in his checkbook and told him about them sooner. And he was screaming at me about that I went downstairs and woke the boys up. I think it was probably 10 maybe, and the boys that they could go to the mall, and I gave them some money for lunch or breakfast if they wanted, and that Dad and I needed to talk about some things. I went back upstairs. I didn't remember if I started a load of laundry then or if it was a little bit later, but I went back upstairs. I made Todd some breakfast and told him I was going to send the boys to the mall, and then we could talk about everything. I was going to be going to my sister's to stay for a little bit, and so I made him breakfast, and he took his medicines. We really didn't discuss all that much more. And he sat down, watched some hunting program in the living room. I did some laundry and some dishes, and came back upstairs and had to read the instruction booklet for my son is on special prescription that you have to enroll on the computer and answer questions, and that I guess monthly. So we were going to get back his blood work, or going to get his blood work done on Monday. So wanted to get it all in the computer, end of it done on Sunday. I must have fallen asleep. I was laying on our bed reading the book. I took a little nap. And when I got up, Todd had asked me something to drink. I went to the kitchen and was loading the dishwasher and washing up his breakfast dishes, and I got some juice. And he took some medication, and I told him I was going downstairs to do some laundry, deleted section. So I restarted the laundry because I still needed, I restarted the laundry then because it smelled. So I restarted it.
Smelled of gasoline.
And then Todd was yelling at me, and then all of a sudden I heard him scream. Then I went running up the stairs, and there was fire from our bedroom to his recliner and he was on fire.
Whoa.
And the whole upper body, and his whole upper body, there was fire and smoke. I couldn't see him really well, and I just turned and ran out the door and jumped in the van because I didn't know how I would get anybody, except I would go over to Mike and Connie's, and I backed up, and then I seen Todd in the yard, and I got out to try to help him get the fire off of him. Before that, I heard something in the house, boom.
I'm going to have you go ahead and read the last two sentences on that page and then continue on to page 2.
Yep. Now, in the morning, you ran and got breakfast stuff. About what time? Do you remember? Do you recall what time it was? Around 9 or so.
And if you could go to page 5 and read down then to where there is a J and it says O before the blacked out boxes.
What's blacked out? I'm curious.
Yep, page 5, just start at the top.
You even start at the top of 5?
Start at the top of 5 and read down to the blacked out area.
The question, and then when you say you ran to the marathon, where's the marathon located at? Answer, in Lawrence. It's okay if I just use J or L or?
Yes, I think we've gone over what J and L stand for, so if you I just say J and then her answer.
Yep, J in Lawrence. Everybody has their local stops, and we cover so much area that it's like, okay, now where's the marathon? And then filled up the truck. You were back home here, and now you're saying that Todd was taking medication. It looks like he, by the sound of it, had taken meds a couple of times. What type of medication was he taking? What kind of issues is he? He had some kind of an ear infection going on. He said that the doctor said that he was really swollen and draining really terrible. And he was feeling sick to his stomach, a lot from that.
I'll have you stop there. And if you could go down to then the last sentence on page 5 and just read that for the jury where it says J.
Oh, now when you say he was angry, he was just yelling, grumbling, or was he?
I'll have you go to page 6 and start at the top.
L, he was screaming. We've been arguing quite a bit, and we were arguing over me leaving to go to my sister's, and
I'll have you keep reading.
Fries are done.
J, and this is just some other thing to trip another argument. L, just one more straw. J, now you say you went down to get the boys up. I think you said it was around 10. L, yay.
Yeah.
J, then all 3 boys were here. L, mm-hmm. J, and then they did ultimately get up and leave. L, yeah, I told them that, we were going to be talking about a lot of things today. I told them that they were going to stay here and to go to school, and I was going to go to Aunt Kim's. I told them later on in the day that we would have to meet me so that I could get the blazer from them. And I told them I wasn't sure if I would be at Aunt Kim's when they left or not. And just 2, we would talk and figure out where they were supposed to meet and bring the blazer to me, and then I'd bring them home.
I'll have you read the next 2 lines.
Do you normally drive the blazer? L, yeah.
I'm going to have you go then to page 7 and skip the first J and L, and then I'll have you start them with the third J and read those next 2 sections.
And then after getting the boys up?
Yes, sir.
And then, after getting the boys up, they woke up, came up. Did you cook breakfast? L, no, I told them that I would give them some money to go out to eat. because I just didn't know how much arguing or yelling Todd was going to want to do, and I don't like it in front of the boys. And he doesn't mind. So I just asked them if they would just go, and that I would let Dad know that they were going. And
I'm going to have you stop there. I'm going to have you flip to page 9. And start the 4th section down where it says L, yeah. If you could read that.
Yeah, I just don't like them to hear. That's L. Yeah, I don't just like them to hear all the stuff that he screams.
Wait a minute, I'm going to have you stop. Are you on page 9?
Yes.
Page 9, the 4th line down.
Oh, 4th line down.
Sorry. Yes, thank you very much.
So basically,
Yeah, they didn't come up and talk to Todd because he was all angry, and
So
Jay.
Todd was up as the
Now,
boys were
that
leaving.
is, would that be normal for him this lately to be angry and the kids kind of avoiding him? L, well, he's been, yeah. Jay, how long has this been going on? L, well, I don't know. For this summer, it was a lot, and then it kind of tapered off, and then this winter, it has been quite a bit.
I'm going to have you stop, then go down 4, go to the J that says, now was Todd aware? And if you could read from there to the bottom of the page.
Jay, was Todd aware that you were going to go to your sister's and stay? L, we talked about that Saturday. Jay, and it's basically you just getting away from him. Was that his reaction on Saturday? L, well, we had a few different reactions. He wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to take the boys, and I told him that there was no way I could because, they had to stay in school, and, I wasn't going to uproot everyone because, move them all into my sister's. That would be just too much. Now you guys have been talking about divorce, or is it just for the last couple of years, really?
I'm going to have you go to the next page and then go ahead and just start at the top.
Jay, and it's L. A couple of months ago, I made up my mind for sure that I was going to, and had paperwork and had it all filled up, and I had already showed it to him. And Jay, and what was his reaction then? L, he told me to take the blazer and go and get the couple expletives out, and then he told me that we could work things out. He could change if I could change. And Jay, now he has always been angry and violent, or has he always been angry and violent, or is this something that's new? L, yeah, no, he's always been, and he just kind of comes and goes in waves, I guess. J, is he a drinker? L, inaudible answer. J, is he, when he does he drink and then get angry? Or L, he used to, but then he's just been more taking his prescription medicines, my sleeping pills, muscle relaxants, pain pills, and a lot of different things lately. Deleted section. L, he had been smoking pot too. J, is that something fairly recent? L, he used to do it. J, or at least you found out recently? L, well, he used to do it, and he had quit for quite a long time. He and his buddy got together, and I find out because I asked him about this job, going to get this job, because his business wasn't paying the bills, and he just wasn't working regularly at all. He would sit around and mope around, and he told me that he couldn't go and apply for the job just yet. And I asked him why. He told me because he had smoked some pot and he had to wait until it was out of his system, because he was sure that with a job like that, they were going to want to test him. And
I'm going to have you go to page 11. And if you could go to then the fourth, fifth, sixth section down, skip the top four and then start with the J where it says and.
Where it says what?
And, the J, and it says and the fifth little section down.
Oh, okay,
And that would
yes.
be page 11.
J. And if you don't go see them, they don't buy anything. Let's see. We get a little off of this.
It's the fire investigator interviewing her
Fills in all the details.
at the scene of
Now,
the crime.
so you told him that basically on Saturday had discussed going to stay at your sister's. Did you end up with any fighting? I mean, has he ever hit you? Has he ever beaten you to where you or you have got prior domestic violence complaints filed? L, inaudible. J, basically, it was one of those you just took the beating and didn't say anything. L, inaudible. J, you have to answer yes or no. L, yes. J, yeah, I know. I realize this is difficult, but gathering all of the information, my primary role is to determine what caused the fire in the events of the day. And obviously there's been a lot going on that you've been putting up with for quite a while. But you've never called the police on him for hitting you. L, my friend called the police a few weeks ago, like around Thanksgiving time. But see, we lived in Portage and somebody called the police back then. And when we were sitting down with the police officers individually, I was making a report of what happened. He came out with the male police officer and told me that I had a lot to think about. He said that he wasn't going to go to jail by himself and that we would both go. And I asked him why. And the police officer said, well, your husband said that you hit him also, so we have to take both of you in. And so they explained it all to me, and I didn't want to go to jail and have the kids, go through all of that. So I didn't finish the report, and I've never made a complaint against him since then because of that. J, now the friend, you say a friend of yours called back about Thanksgiving?
I'll have you go to page 12 and just read then the top three.
Oops. Top three sections?
Yes, please.
L, yes, and J, was that this past Thanksgiving? L, yeah.
And then I'm going to have you go down to the bottom third where the J and start with the part that says, and now he took.
J, and now he took his medications and then began watching hunting programs. About what time was that? Was that all around 10, 11 with get up and the kids left? L, yeah. J, and then from there you went down to do some laundry. L, yes. J, how many loads of laundry? I mean, how long were you downstairs?
I'm going to have you flip to page 13, and if you could read all the sections that are not blocked out.
L, I folded laundry. I was putting Christmas ornaments in the boxes. We have a pool table in the basement, and I had all the boxes laid out and was just puttering. J, basically staying away from him. L, yeah, we did that a lot. J, and then about what time would you say you were back upstairs when you were going to read the instructions on your son's medication? L, maybe around noon or so. J, and then you said you think you were reading the book? L, it's a folder type of pamphlet of information. It's, I pledge, it's called for acne medication, because it's a really harmful drug if you don't do everything right. And J, and then you doze off, and about what time did you get up? L, I really don't know. J, now you just woke up on your own, or did you wake up because he was yelling? L, no, I remember hearing him down in the basement doing something, and when I got up, though, he was back in his recliner. in the living room upstairs. And he asked me for something to drink when I had gotten up. And so I went in, got him something to drink,
What was
did
that
some
something?
dishes, and
Maybe you flip to page 14. Start with the sixth section down with L, where it says and ... O.
L. And, when I came back upstairs, when I got him the juice too, I made a fire for him then too in the fireplace. He said today would be a good day to have a fire in the fireplace. So, J. Now, L. I made a fire in the upstairs fireplace. J. Okay, now when you say upstairs, is that ...
What guy doesn't
L,
make the fire?
The main floor.
Guys love fire.
J. This level here is upstairs. And then when you say you heard him downstairs, that would L. We had a fire place downstairs also. J. In the basement. L. But we kept all of the wood downstairs. J. Okay, but like I said, there was a basement, a fireplace on the basement walkout level. L. Yes.
I'm going to have you go to the next page on page 15, and about 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the seventh one down, J, and then.
J. And then he said it'd be a good day for a fire. L. J. Is there any reason he didn't build the fire?
Yeah.
L. No. He just asked me to. Sometimes he'd ask me to, sometimes he'd ask the boys to. My sons were pretty good at making a fire. He taught them how to make a pretty good fire in the fireplace too.
I'm going to have you go to the next page, page 16. Go ahead and just read from the top
Put the
down
guy
to
in
the
back.
blacked out
Put
portion.
the coffee, pushing
Jay,
the down arrow
just
button.
looking, and then from here, you were talking about that you went up, that Todd had asked for something to drink. That's L. J. Is there any reason he couldn't get up and get a drink himself? L. Sometimes he was pretty groggy from his medication, and his stomach had been upset, and that's just Todd. I mean, when somebody else is here, somebody else gets stuff for him. J. Now, this medication he's taking for his ear infection, is that some kind of antibiotics or something?
That's not my
L.
mouse.
There
That's
was
their
an
mouse.
inhaler,
My mouse is
there
down
was a
here.
liquid, and then there was a pill. I don't know, he told me that the liquid was the antibiotic. When I got to the pharmacy, they didn't have any at Rite Aid and Paw Paw, and they wouldn't be able to fill it for a few days. I asked them, I said, well, is this the antibiotic? They told me no. They told me what it was, and I said, well, can't I just buy something over the counter to get him through until I get something? And they said, yes, it's just a decongestant was all that was with antihistamine in it. So the next day on Saturday, I picked that up for him.
I'm going to have you go to page 19. And on this one, it appears you're kind of describing the floor plan on the first half. Is that correct?
Yes.
I'm going to have you go down about halfway down the page with the L that starts with yeah. If you could read from there and just those few lines down to the blacked out portion.
Okay. L, yeah. And then the living room, and then this end right here, there was a pantry, mudroom, laundry room, but we didn't have laundry up there yet. It was just storage. And then the kitchen and dining room were all one room. Between the dining room and the living room, there was just a half wall. And Todd has his oil lamp and candles burning on that half wall. J. And they would have been burning that day? L, they were, because I had complained that it smelt bad in there.
I'm going to have you go to page 20 and just read the top 2 lines that are not blacked out.
So it normally weren't burning?
J, now with the furnace, is it an oil furnace? L,
So I'm going to have you go to the next page, page 21. If you could read the top, start at the top.
L, it was when we first moved here, so it would have been 90 or 91, 92, somewhere in there. And then we moved out here in 96, so J, that's my next question. How long have you lived here? L, here in this house only 3 years, but in Lawrence, 96. J, and I take it this house was built in that last 3 years? L, Todd built this house, yeah.
I'm going to have you stop there, and if you could go down to the L, about a third of the way down, that starts with
L,
Surprise.
he had someone who was a builder come in and lay out the plumber. He had someone from the furnace place lay out and help with the ductwork and put the furnace in. He had hired someone to do the shingles on the roof because he didn't like being on his knees like that. And on the electric, somebody hooked that up. He put it all there, but they inspected it. And
I'm going to have you stop there, and if you could go to page 23 and start at the top of the page.
J, now during the morning, or should I say, let's talk about now the half wall divides the kitchen and the family room area. What kind of oil lamps were on there? L, just one was fragranced. It was a little plastic thing. It always said it was childproof because you. J, is it one of those little, like an incense? L, with a wick in it, and it has a smell. It was vanilla. You can open the cap up, the thing pops up. You light that thing, and it's got a little metal thing with a wick. And so it's not like a big hurricane lamps? L, no, but we had one of those blown glass for oil also with a wick in it. J, now the scented one, was that one of those like an air wick or one of those that has just a small container? L, it's just a small container, but I don't know what kind it was. Just that it was. J, do you know where it came from? Is that something he purchased or something that? L, yeah, and he had the oil too. J, how big, on the smallest one, how big of a container would you say that was? 1 cup, 2 cups? L, I don't know, like maybe a baby bottle, the smaller kind? J, I'm not familiar with that. L, like a deletion. L, 4 ounces? Thanks. She has a new grandbaby. L, familiar with those sizes. Now the blown glass one is set up for an oil lamp. L, yeah.
I'll have you go to the next page.
J, it has a wick. L, yes. J, did it have the twisty thing for raising and low? L, no. J, okay. L, it's just decorative more. I didn't understand how those things could. It's just a little bitty glass plug that holds the J, like a glass bead that sits on top and then the wick comes up through it.
I had one
L,
of those.
yeah. J, and how big was this one? L, not terribly. J, was it? L, like. J, 4 ounces, 8 ounces. L, more than the small one, but not maybe just like double, maybe like 8 ounces or something. J, and then there's just the 2 of these. L, yeah. J, and then what type of candles? L, just scented candles. J, are they big candles or are they like little tea light candles? L, no, just in the glass jar, small, maybe votive size or something. J, about how many of those were going? L, 1 that I seen.
I'm going to have you continue on to page 25.
My sinus medication dries me out. J, and then both. L, it was on the bar, on the kitchen counter, where he was doing bills in the morning. And then there was, I'm sorry, the kitchen and dining room were separated only by a bar.
And I'm going to have you just skip those next few paragraphs. Go to the L that says, not that I can think of. Start there.
That says what?
Not that I can think of. Just skip the next 3 sections.
L, not that I can think of. I just know our furnace was had to be bled out again in the last couple days, but not that day. J, so you say the furnace wasn't bled on that day? L, no. J, now the furnace is an oil furnace. How often have you had to bleed this? Do you know? Do the bleeding of it? L, well, I think he did it like Saturday night. Last winter, we had to have fields come out a couple times, and Todd thought maybe we had maybe water in the fuel. But apparently, when they set it up, they didn't put the tubing all the way down like it should have been, or it was just too close or something. He said somehow there was air getting in or something to one of those tubes, and he just had to go down, open a thing, and there was a little hose, and then he could just bleed through it. J, now if he had to bleed it like that, did he end up with oil on the floor? L, yeah. J, that's kind of makes a mess. L, yeah, and kitty litter we put down there sometimes. And J, yeah, that's one of the problems with oil. It's great for heat and stuff, but it's a little messy to work with if you have a problem.
I'm going to have you go to the next page. On the second section, can you start with under the J, or what do you think? Maybe the last sentence on the second section, down on J.
Oh, okay, yep, J. And about how long ago was this? L.
I'm going to have you stop there. Skip the L and the J, and then the blacked out section. Right above the blacked out section, if you could just start with, or what do you think?
Can you actually start from the top with more feeling?
Second section down, page 26.
Yep, 26.
Last sentence, or what do you think? Right before the blacked out line.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm looking way down the page.
If you could start there and then just read down to November.
Read from below the blacked out area?
The one right above the blacked out area, or what do you?
The top of the page, L, is unintelligible. I was afraid to death of propane. He wanted to put propane. He wanted to put propane in here. I wouldn't have propane. J, any opinions in your mind? What do you think happened to the cause of the fire? I mean, have you had any kind of problems or something that you would think is going on, or what do you think caused the fire? L, I feel like maybe Todd yelled at me once during the day and told me that no one else would ever have me. And I think that maybe he meant for both of us too. I don't think I'm supposed to be here. Jay, did he say anything about killing himself or killing you? L, he has in the past. That's why I went up to go see about getting a divorce, because he told me a couple months ago that God was testing him to see which one of us was supposed to go, and that he had brought up his shotgun after hunting one day and was cleaning it, and I seen it out of the corner of my eye when he walked up the stairs that the gun was cocked, and he had his cleaning stuff in his hand. He came over and stood right behind me when the counter was in the dining room, and he pointed it, but it was not. I could see in the computer screen that the barrel was not pointed straight at me, but he stood there and he just said behind me, he said, "I'm really sorry to have to do this, Linda." And then I turned around and I looked at him, and he just laughed at me and said, "I should have seen my face because I looked really scared," and that he was just messing with me. And that's when I decided to take some legal steps and talk to my sister and made arrangements. Jay, and about how long ago was this? L, November.
I'm going to have you then jump to page 27, start at the top.
J, was the furnace working that day? L, yes. J, now when you came upstairs, now you said you could hear him yelling and then it turned to screaming. What was he yelling at that point? Was he just... L, that's when he was yelling at me that nobody else would ever. J, has he ever said flat out that he was going to kill you? Has he ever threatened to kill you? J, in those words, did he say anything on this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, anything about going to kill himself or? J, that's no. L, not this weekend, I'm sorry. J, okay, yeah, I know, people aren't used to. L, did he say, I'm sorry? He didn't say anything about killing himself, but he did say about our bills, how much we owed his sisters and his mom and the mortgage and everything, and that we didn't have enough life insurance on both of us. You know, it'd take both of our life insurance policies to take care of everything.
I'm going to stop you there and have you go to page 28.
She brought up the life insurance.
About a little over halfway through the page on J, and it says, "And now you came up the stairs."
J, and now you came up the stairs. Where was Todd at?
Jay's
L,
the witness.
When I came around the corner from
L
the
is the
stairway
defendant.
to the living room, there was a lot of fire between our bedroom door and his recliner. And he was more closer to our bedroom. And there was just a fire and a lot of smoke. But there was no fire there was a point in the living room where it was like it wasn't between our bedroom and
I'm going to have you stop there because I want you to read that sentence again.
Because you messed it up.
After you said there was a point in the living room where it was like, if you could then read that again.
Yeah. There was a point in the living room where it was like it was between our bedroom and his recliner, but nothing on this side of it. J, nothing on this side coming back towards the kitchen, dining room, and the stairwell. L, kitchen, dining room, nothing.
I'm going to have you go to the next page. You could start then with the fourth section down, J, then that way.
I want to hear from
J,
the sons.
then that way we can sketch the floor plan. The flames that you saw, where was the fire at? Was it on the ceiling, on the furniture, on the floor? L, I could see Todd's legs. The chair was on fire, and then there was a little bit of fire on the floor. and then there was a lot of fire over by the bedroom. I couldn't tell if it was him or if it was the wall or what it was. G.
I'm going to have you skip that. I don't know who G is. We'll have you skip that and just go to the next one.
L, he was covered.
And I have skipped the G and then go to L.
L, fire just completely covered. J, now how did you go out? Which way did you go? L, I ran out this front door. And J, out the front door, is that the same way he came out? L, I don't know where he came out at. There's a U in there for a different...
Go ahead and skip that.
Yeah. L, when I came out through, I don't remember closing the door, but I heard the door slam. I mean, it just went whoosh. And J, and that's when the door slammed. J, now, when you came outside, what did you see as far as smoke and fire? I mean, when you first came out, what did you do? L, it was just black. I ran towards the side of the house and I seen a bunch of smoke. And so I ran and I got in the van because I didn't have no way to call anybody unless I got to the neighbors. And I didn't have shoes on. So I thought for a second I'd run through the horse pasture, but then I thought I should drive the van.
And I'm going to have you go to page 30 and read that for me, please.
J, and then you say you see smoke. Was the smoke coming out of doors, windows, or just through the roof? L, I don't even remember. I just know that I seen smoke, but I didn't even remember where it was. It seemed like it was on... I remember looking up at some point and seeing a bunch of black smoke, but I don't remember at what point that was. J, and then you jumped in the van, and did you actually drive out in the van? L, I had backed up, but then I seen Todd, so I pulled forward real quick and jumped out to see if I could help him.
Real quick.
But he wouldn't lay down. He was trying to pull his pants and socks off, and so I screamed at him and told him to lay down. And J, and then how did the fire department did you ultimately make a call to the fire department? L, no. When I was with Todd down here, because I couldn't get the van back up, because it's so muddy over here, we don't have gravel over here. And I pulled over here to try to stop and help him. Then I realized I couldn't, and I had to get somebody to help us. So I jumped back in the van, but I couldn't back up. So usually we go down to the driveway, because it's real sandy right here in front of the house, and get going fast and get back up. But then I see him laying over there, so I jumped out of the van, ran over to him. He wasn't on fire anymore. And then I seen neighbors come up, and I was just screaming at them to call 911. J, now whereabouts was he laying? Unintelligible. L, over on the J, between here and where the driveway goes around? Yeah, L, yeah.
I'm going to have you go to page 31 and just read the top paragraph.
J, and then you say the neighbors then pulled in?
I'm sorry, and then the next response.
I'm trying to, the rings are blowing in the sun, the shadow. L, yeah. Then, while I was laying on him trying to keep his mouth open and keep him breathing, then another neighbor got there and said that he was a medic. I didn't realize who it was at first. And they pulled me away from Todd and started checking him over. And they got that boat that's over there from somewhere. I don't even know where that was. They put Todd in that and then drug him away from the house farther over here somewhere. And the paramedics then finally got here, and it seemed like it took them forever to get here. And I don't know who got here first. I was just right there.
I'm going to have you flip to page 54.
54 of 90.
And you could start with the
That's
third
where we're
line
halfway through. I'm not
down.
going to read it all, though. She left out the running them over part.
Jay, now you talked about oil lamps and a candle on the half wall. L, yeah, there. This had all Christmas decorations and a little oil lamp. Jay, and you said there was two of, do you remember where they were positioned? I mean, just evenly spaced so they look nice? Or was one closer to Todd's chair and one closer to this end here? Jay, and then how about the candle? L, the candle was on the bar. J, oh, over here? L, where he was doing the bills that morning, we had a table right here in the corner that had a poinsettia on it, and we had a big dining room table here.
I'm going to have you stop and go to page 56. You could go about halfway down the page where there's an L and it says, yeah, I came right up, and start from there.
L, yeah, I came right up and I ran around this side here. J, so through the kitchen and around, how far into the living room did you get? L, I just got right between the fireplace and somewhere in here. J, okay, then that's basically between just inside the door opening, and then yesterday you said that you could see that the fire was like from the master bedroom to the recliner, that half. L, the recliner was all on fire. There was a big bunch of fire right by our bedroom door, and I could see Todd's. J, okay, so he was actually over by the bedroom door. L, closer to the bedroom door, kind of. I don't know. Kind of in between our bedroom door and the fireplace, kind of. I don't know, somewhere in between, like here, but I could see fire all the way back too. I mean, it was just.
I'll have you go to the next page.
J, was he coming towards you, towards out? L, I couldn't tell. J, now I know, I realize this is difficult, but when you saw the flames, the recliner, could you still see the chair? L, I don't remember. J, or was it just a big ball of flames? L, I just kind of glanced, I just kind of. J, how about the fire in between? Was the whole room on fire, or did it look like a concentration of fire over here? L, it looked like a bunch of fire over here by the recliner. L, and then there wasn't much fire between, and then there was a lot of fire over here. J, and then when you took off, you just went out the front door. L, inaudible. J, okay, when you went out the front door, you said yesterday, you talked about, said you ran out to the van. Where was the van parked at? L, parked right in front of the house. I mean, we drove right up to, the contractors made a mistake. They weren't supposed to carry the driveway as far up as they did, so we took advantage of it. J, so you pull up right by the front porch there? L, yeah. J, now what were you wearing? I mean, did you have clothes on or still in your jammies from? L, no, I had on some pants and a sweater. J, now did you have keys for the van with you?
I'll have you go to page 58, if you could read that page.
We always leave, L, again, we leave our billfold and our keys in the vehicles. I don't, but Todd always does. He always brings mine in and put them in the drawer in the kitchen. But the boys had my vehicle, and so when the boys were taking off in the morning, I just took my purse and threw it over into the van, but Todd always kept keys in, always inaudible about that. I hated it. Jay, okay, and then yesterday explained that you went to the van, you were going to try to get help, and then where did you drive? You were parked in front of the house. L, I backed up, but then I seen Todd, so I pulled up this way and stopped. J, and this way, you're pointing up here towards the north. Now he came out, but you don't know what door he came out. L, he was just in the side yard here. J, okay, up by the front of the house, or was he all the way around the side? L, he was closer to the front towards that rock pile. J, okay, then what happened? L, I pulled the van up real quick and jumped out, was screaming at him to lay down. He was trying to get his pants off, and I kept trying to get up and reach and grab him, his pants. He just wouldn't stay still. J, okay, and from then from the L, and then he laid down. I looked at him and I thought, oh my God, I got to get him help. So I went back to the van and I tried to back up, but I couldn't back up because this is too muddy. So I thought if I pulled down here real fast, and I couldn't see Todd when I backed up, and I'm pulled down here because I was going to try back up to get a running start, and I couldn't. So I jumped back out and ran to Todd, and he was laying right there in here someplace, and I just laid on him. And Jay, and your idea was to back up down to the flats here and then try to get a running start up the hill. L, well, usually we could if we got right in here because it's all sandy and we could back around. J, just take kind of a zoom up the slippery hill. L, but I wasn't thinking. I mean, with my blazer, I could do it. With Corey's car or with the van, it's kind of like our pickup truck was. It's just so heavy, I guess. And J, it is a full-size van. Or L, it's a big conversion van. At some point, my neighbors got here. I seen the neighbors, and I'm screaming at them to call somebody. I laid on Todd, and I'm trying to keep his airway open, and I could tell that he was still breathing. And Jay, which neighbors were that?
And I'm going to have you stop there. I'm going to have you go to the next page, page 60, and I believe there's just one section that's not blacked out, if you could read that.
Jay, now when you were trying to back up, and then you said you saw Todd come out, and then he laid down, you had to jump back in the van and try to get out. That's when you got stuck? Was that after you got back in?
I'm going to have you go to page 61. Near the bottom section on J, where it says, and then you were.
Yes, J. And then you were downstairs prior to discovering the fire. Yesterday, you talked about how that you were downstairs and that L, yeah, I was in the laundry room. J, and that you were in the laundry room when you heard Todd start screaming. L, yeah, prior to that, I was back, in the living room in the basement. There was a big, huge game table too, because I was folding laundry on that table.
And I'm going to have you stop there, go to the next page on page 62, and
Folding
start at the
laundry on
top
the
for me,
pool table?
please.
That gets lint on the felt.
Jay, now you said yesterday you guys had been arguing that he had been yelling at you, and then the yelling turned to screaming. Was it he stopped yelling? Was there a pause? L, yeah, he just stopped yelling, and then I don't know, just moments later. J, for how long? I mean, was it, just L, just a couple of sentences, and then a pause, and then a scream. J, could you understand anything that I was saying? I mean, when he first started screaming, was he yelling fire, yelling get out? I know these are kind of meticulous, because what I'm looking at is trying to reconstruct. You've been real helpful with where the fire was located, and I'm looking at a time frame as to how the fire grew from, from wherever it started into what it did. And the time frame is an important factor. L, he told me nobody else would ever have me. J, but that obviously was part of his controlling nature of trying to control you. L, crying. J, there we go. How long had you been downstairs doing laundry and stuff before you heard, one, the yelling stop, and him start screaming? Because I know you said you'd been down, got the boys, did laundry, had been up and down a couple times. The last time you went down, about how long was it you were in the basement before the screaming and the fire was discovered? L, I don't know. I folded. I don't even remember what exactly. Folded laundry. I went down. I don't know. I was just kind of putting around down there trying to avoid. I used the bathroom. I checked the laundry. I don't know, maybe.
I'll have you go to the next page, page 63, please.
L, maybe around 15 or 20. I don't think it was a half hour. I don't. J, and J. And then this would have been after you talked about you were reading. L, right. J, the book with the instructions for your son's medication. L, well, then I took a nap when I was reading that booklet, and I got Todd something to drink, and I went down, and I don't know, it may have been longer. I know I put some more Christmas decorations away at some point down there.
I'm going to stop you and have you go to page 64. If you could read the last three sections at the bottom, starting with J, have you ever?
J, have you ever had problems with the fireplace? Now, it's a wood-burning fireplace. L, yeah. J, is there a glass on the front or the screen?
I'll have you go to page 65 and continue there.
L, no, there's just a screen. Poles. J, okay. Oh, okay, yep. L, we went to try and get the glass for it and found out we had to special order it because it was an oddball size or something. And J, you ever had any problems with now, well, let me back up a little bit. With the fireplace upstairs, is there a stone hearth or ceramic tile or something? L, there was a flashing sill that he hadn't put we had in the, all right, at the base of the stairs in the basement, there was a big, huge linen closet. Right there was a wall here, and this was just a linen closet, and there were blankets and sheets from ceiling to about knee high. And then underneath was all the tile that we were going to put in on the floor in the front of both fireplaces, but there was just metal flashing on the floor. J, okay, just metal flashing where the hearth should go. L, yes. J, and then carpet, and then no carpet in that area. L, no.
And I'm going to stop you there, Gene, if you can just read the last entry on that page with L.
L, never a log rolling out because we had a nice grate in both of them. But we've had poppers every now and then, but not I mean, like if you don't close the screens sometimes, but nothing.
I'm going to have you go to page 66, start at the top.
J, how about over by the master bedroom? You said that he was over there and there was a lot of fire there. Do you use any space heaters, electric portable heaters? L, we used to. We used to have an kerosene heater up there on the floor, and when we were, you know, first working on it, and that, J. Okay, when you were building, L, yeah. L, but we didn't have, they're in the shed or in the semi. One of the two, I mean, we didn't. J, how long has it been since you've used a kerosene heater in there? L, oh, since last winter.
I'm going to stop you. If you could go to the top of page 67.
L, one of the Mathaneys, I'm sure. Those are the only people I remember seeing when I was laying on Todd. That's when Mr. Masali came and then announced something about being a trained medic. And then he told me, his name, but I don't remember hearing. I just remember hearing that I'm a trained medic, and then.
And then I'm going to have you go to page 68. And after the blacked out section, if you could read from there, just the next 4 sections.
Okay, J. And then electricity, of course, was on at the time. You don't. L. J. Have any gas? L. No. J. And now, have you had problems with the wiring since you built the house? Tripping breakers, plugs that you plug in and nothing happens? L. No. He made sure everything was on plenty of circuits.
I'm going to stop you there. If you can go to the next page, page 69. About a third of the way down on J, if you could start with all right.
J. All right. How about problems? You said the furnace that every now and then you have to bleed the lines because they get air in it. L. Yeah. J. L. I'm not sure if it was because of the air. I know that Todd had said that that might have been one of the problems, because the way the copper tubing is supposed to come down inside of the tank, and he said that the guy was real ding-a-ling and that he did it the first time around. And then someone from Bangor, so he had someone else come out, but I have one winter, we had them come out like 6 times just from Fleetwoods, and then he called to Fields a couple times, and then he figured it out himself how to.
I maybe skip down to the last sentence of the page and read that, continue on to the next.
Jay, about
There's an
how
end to
often this year, we'll
We've got
say this
21 pages
winter,
left.
L, we haven't used the
20.
heat hardly at all this winter. We had. L, yeah, and it's been so warm, so it doesn't kick on much. And with him putting the insulation in the attic, I don't even remember whether it was this spring or this summer, but it just.
And I'm just going to have you skip down then to the 5th one up where it says J, now the candle's burning.
J, now the candle's burning. We talked about the small oil lamps on the half wall, and then the candle, that was on the bar. L, bar. J, and that would have been it. L, yeah. J, how about smokers?
I'm going to have you go to page 71 at the top.
L, no, not ever in the house. My mom can't even smoke in the house.
I'll have you continue on.
J, now who's the smoker? Is Todd a smoker? No, never really. He just occasionally, if he went hunting with all the guys, he'd have what do you call a celebratory cigar or something, but no.
Celebratory
J,
cigar.
you don't think smoking is the cause of the fire? L, no, definitely not. We don't even own any ashtrays.
I'm going to stop you there. If you could go to page 74.
You said he smoked
I'll
weed
have you
earlier.
then
though.
start with the third, or the third section down, any flammable liquids.
Start where?
The second J from the top of the page, so it would be like the third line down.
Okay. Yeah. L, yeah. J, where would that?
Go up a little higher. Start
Oh.
out with any flammable liquids, please.
Oh, okay, yep, J. Any flammable liquids stored inside the house, any gasoline, kerosene. I think you mentioned that with the oil lamps, you had some lamp oil. L, yeah. J, where would that have been stored at? L, underneath the sink in the kitchen. Occasionally in our bedroom, Todd would leave the bottle on the nightstand or by the nightstand. You know, if he had filled it up. In the furnace room, when he'd bleed it out, he didn't always take out and dump it back into the tank. Sometimes there would be a 2-liter bottle where he had, done that. J, but that would be left in the L, basement. J, furnace room. L, furnace room, yeah. J, now when he bleeds it out normally, is that it? He just bleeds it into a bottle or something?
And I'm going to have you go ahead and go to page 76 and just read me the single sentence, the second sentence down.
The second line
Second
up?
sentence starting, it's L, under L, starting with Todd.
L, Todd and I were here, the only ones home.
I'm going to have you now flip to page 78.
Todd and I were the only ones home.
And I'm going to have you skip the J section, the one at the top, the J at the top, and just start with the L.
L, I don't think we had insurance though. Todd told me that he didn't pay the insurance and it was due in December. J, and now is that the homeowners? L, yes, and L,
life insurance.
they have to investigate everything anyways, but I don't think that, see, we had gotten really behind on our bills and our mortgage, and we're in foreclosure over this summer. We had borrowed against the life insurance. Todd borrowed $25,000 from his sister overseas to buy some gloves for his business.
I'm going to stop you there. And I'm going to have you flip over to page 81.
$25,000 to buy gloves for his
And
business?
go ahead and just start then with the paragraph at the
Find
top,
the wrong
the L.
business. Start selling gloves.
Perfect. Honestly, we don't have that many pages, Your Honor. We're on 81 out of 90. So if the court wants, we can just finish up these 9, and I don't think there's everything on all 9 pages.
Judge says we need a break.
Start with the
Yes, please.
Oh, start after
L,
the
I know that Todd's mom can confirm this, that if you had to ask her, but last year I had asked her to please not loan Todd any more money, that it just kept him from going out and, us being self-sufficient. I owe her a great sum of money. So when he asked her this last time to borrow money, she sent him in the direction of his sister.
He's gonna
because
do
she
the
didn't
highlighter.
have any more money to loan him.
He's
I
highlighted
think
everything.
that we owe Sandy several $1,000s, and
And I'm going to have you stop, and if you could skip down just a few lines to the L, I think it was.
$30,000.
L, I think it was $30,000.
And I'll have you continue there.
J, and then he's into his sister for 25. L, and his brother for 5. And that was one of the things that he mentioned recently, that between the two of us, life insurance policies, we might have enough to take care of everybody. But you know, Todd has been depressed off and on, but he refused to take any medication since we lived on the other side of Lawrence, because our insurance company dropped his prescription insurance because Todd said it was because
She gets
he was
really
on
talkative about
antidepressants
insurance.
and they felt he was, you know, so he refused to take any antidepressants ever again. He got mad at me when I find out that I went on some recently. Asked me what the heck kind of stress did I have. I didn't owe anybody any money. It was him that, so, you know, his mom and I have talked about him being depressed, you know, off and on.
I'll have you go to page 82.
And start at the top.
If you can start at the last sentence on the top paragraph of J, is there anything?
J, it was in the room.
Oops, I'm sorry. Top paragraph, J, last sentence.
Should start with
J, it wasn't fire coming out of the fireplace.
I'm going to stop you again. Go up to the top J.
Oh, top J.
Paragraph.
I'm gonna tell you one
last
more time.
sentence.
J, he was obviously on fire. Is there anything up there that could start the fire? L, the fireplace was the only thing I could think of, but it wasn't. I ran up almost to the fireplace. The fire came from our bedroom direction towards me, towards the fireplace, so it wasn't the fireplace. I know that it wasn't the fireplace. J,
She saw the
it
fire.
wasn't fire coming out of
Attraction
the
went.
fireplace or the pipes or along the ceiling or anything. It was L, no, it. J, it was in the room. L, I came from the basement, the pipes are there, and the wall, and J, could he have had fuel on him? L, I took him juice, I would have smelled it. J, and then when you took him juice, he was sitting in the recliner? L,
I'm going to
yeah.
have you. I'm going to stop you there. If you can go to page 83, about a third of the way down, the J that starts with OK.
J, okay, would it be normal for him if he wore clothes, well, let's say Saturday when he was bleeding the furnace, if he had gotten oil on him, would he have worn those same clothes all night? Inaudible. L, no. J, he was a little neater than that. Oh, J, he was a little neater than that. L, he was a pretty boy. L, if he spilled a tiny bit on him, I mean, yes. L, but not a lot.
I'm going to have you go to page 84 and just read 3 lines for me under about right before the blacked out portion. On L, he had a temper.
L, he had a temper. He had a real bad temper, and you know he said that he never hit me, but he could bruise me without his fists. I mean, he hit me with a fishing reel one time.
I'm going to have you go to page 85, middle
needs
of
the
the
bad
page,
cast.
on L, where it says somebody from work.
L, somebody from work had called to see about getting some concert tickets that I had won, and he got mad because a man called my cell phone, and the police came. I think J, yeah, L, told you that. J,
And I'm going to have you skip down to the very last L paragraph and read that.
L, no, I mean the kids were everything to him. I just can't imagine that, that he would, knowing we don't have insurance, and I mean his sister was supposed to raise the kids, so I don't know. I keep going over this in my mind and trying to figure out, and the only thing I can figure out is if we were both supposed to go. I mean, he told me a long time ago, like,
And I'm going to have you go to the next page and just read the top paragraph.
around Thanksgiving time, that he'd been, You know, he reads the Bible a lot, and he told me this week that he couldn't divorce me because if a man divorces a woman and she gets, even if she gets remarried or sees someone else or whatever, that the man causes her to commit adultery, then that man is equally responsible for the sin, and so he couldn't divorce me. I had to divorce him in order for it to be right with the Lord. And he told me around Thanksgiving time, well, it must have been earlier in November when I went to the lawyer. It really scared me then because he had said that he was waiting for a sign from God to see which one of us was supposed to go.
And I'm going to go to have you go to page 89. And under the one paragraph, the J, it says anything else that you can think of.
Okay. J, anything else that you can think of? I realize this is difficult, but trying to put the thing in, and what I'm looking at now is wiring, plumbing, furnace, and trying to put together to come up with a logical explanation of how we got that much fire that fast in the living room, where he's basically upstairs, and you know, and like you said, medication he was on was antibiotics and stuff for an ear infection. Would he have been drinking at all that day? Would he have any alcohol in his system? No, I don't think so.
And we can stop there, Your Honor.
We're done. It's break time.
A morning break, about 15 minutes, jury. And remember to leave your notebooks in your chairs and also not to talk about the case with each other or anyone else. No media, no research of any kind.
Just don't do anything. Just don't do anything. Just enjoy your break. That's all you're going to do. With that said, we're going to catch up because we were just a moment behind, and I think we're still in break, so we're not going to miss anything. For those that are asking about the baseball bat trial, we are recording that, and we'll be posting it when it's done, when they break. I think they're in closings right now, so don't spoil it here in chat because people want to watch it. But when they're done, we're going to be posting it over on the Top Mark Media channel, and we'll send a link to that. It's not there yet. It'll have to be over before we upload that, and we'll see how that goes. So no spoilers for that, please. All right, there were holes in that story. There were a lot. She completely skipped some of, running him over. Did they say electricity was off? Then how was she doing laundry? No, electricity was on. Things didn't add up. First of all, that she built the fire. He's like, oh, it's a good day for a fire, and she was like, oh, I'm complaining because he lit the oil lamps. So he lit the oil lamps, but he didn't light the fire, and he told her to light the fire because, well, he sat in the chair, and that she saw the way the fire came from the bedroom into that room. She saw the fire move. That means she saw the fire light. Yeah, that's a bad deal. Green-eyed Cat, member for 8 months of the jury, says, no fooling, Recovery Addict's the best. Thanks for all the funniest spot on YouTube. The funnest spot on YouTube. Thank you. Thank you very much, Green-eyed Cat. Appreciate that. Can't get the running over in part, like, why? Yeah, and she's like, yeah, I was trying to keep his mouth open. Everybody else who saw her trying to keep his mouth open said she was covering his mouth. Like, don't talk. Don't say anything. Whatever you do, don't say, my wife did it. She killed me. That's what it seems like from everybody else. Testimony. Never did he explain how he got from upstairs bedroom to under the front tire. Yep, she doesn't know. Surprised her as well. Was she not having an affair, or am I confused? Yeah, she was having an affair. And he had just found out about it the day before. She said she was wearing a sweater and pants when one witness said shorts and a T-shirt. Interesting. Really think she thought it would be easier to kill him than it was. Okay, if they're having serious financial difficulties and he's mad at her for not filing receipts for the medication they need. Does it stand to reason where she says, "Oh, I'm going to send the kids off to the mall, give them money for the movies, go have fun"? Wouldn't some of that expense be some, one of those first ones to be cut? If they're in bad way financially. Let's see. Midlife Mania, I got your text. I'm just I'll have to figure out what to do here. She says she sent me a package. We're trying to figure out where it's at. Have we heard the testimony about the affair yet? Not much. Not much. Should be more believable if she hadn't run him over. I agree. The whole, I had to drive really fast and I didn't see Todd. And every time she's talking about insurance, which she ran out and paid up, knowing that she could pay it up and it would still be active. She gets very, very, I would say, over-explainy when she talks about insurance. Kathy says it seems like an accident. Yep. I don't see any problems with that. Debbie, what you missed yesterday was a different trial, which will be on Top Mark Media later. Looks like they're in closings right now, so. Super coincidental. This is too messy to be planned. I think that's why she was convicted last time. Although last time they had the benefit of being able to bring the report in about the gasoline on the towels downstairs in the laundry room, which would be important to know. 5 accidents in 15 minutes is kind of weird. Yes, lots of suspicious coincidences here. Let's see. I think when the sons testify, they'll paint a different story of their parents. Cheryl Ann, the sons are going to be very interesting because she said a couple things. She said Todd was just like that. He would always be asking somebody to do stuff for him. But he was also very fit and a pretty boy and very active. And I'm not buying everything together. I want to hear if the sons say, yeah, he'd always make us build the fire, or he was always the one build. If Todd taught the sons how to make the fire, he probably liked to build the fire and have it built right. And then him not building the fire that day and saying, hey, honey, today's a good day to build a fire. We haven't had fires many days, but today's a good day to have a fire in this room. And I'll just lay here half unconscious on my chair with all the oil lamps burning, which you're complaining about because of the smell, which you wouldn't if we did this any other day. Things aren't adding up for me. Not a fan of withholding info from the jury. They need the whole story. Laws be laws. They're struggling to get some stuff in. They're doing jury selection today, day 1 for Karen Reed. That's correct. Buttercup says, I told my mom I wouldn't use her credit card anymore. Then I said April Fool's Day. LOL, she's so easy. Thank you, Buttercup. Thank you, Rebecca. When will you be on Courtroom Confidential? Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. We'll be talking about this case. Every time I see the thumbnail for this, I think it's Josh Hutchins in the picture. Hey, honey, I just found out yesterday about your affair. Why don't you build a fire, get me something to drink with a sedative in it, and send the kids off to the mall? Then light all the oil lamps in the room and wait downstairs for an explosion. I'm putting the pieces together in my head. I'm not sure exactly how this is going to work out. Okay. Let's see. We're coming back here in just a minute. Who is this? Who be this? Sounds plausible. Sounds reasonable. Will it be live? I think it'll be live, Jamie Jane. It's going to be their Wednesday night live, I think. Judge said he'd give his verdict at 1:15. Okay, so we can stop and I can upload the first 2.5 hours, the closings from today, right? It's one of her daughters. Okay, Sassy Southern Witch. Is that 1:15? That's, what time zone are they in? Gonna put it side by side of my hubby, my brother, and Josh Ritter together and send it to you. I'm convinced they're related, says Kid. Like a brother from another mother.
Back on the record in the case of People versus Linda Stermer. Any matters to address before we bring in the jury, counsel?
People have none, Your Honor.
None, Your Honor.
Okay. Bring in the jury.
So Sassy Southern Witch, what time frame? What time frame is that? 1:15. And what time zone is that for the baseball bat trial? Is that Eastern? It's Eastern, so 1:15 my time. Okay, we'll keep it rolling. Did I miss much this morning that I should play catch up on? Jackie, it depends. Do you like very droll, monotone readings of transcripts with a lot of ums in them? If so, it was an amazing morning. It was incredible. We did have a little bit of fun at the very beginning of the show. You might want to watch that. Big announcement we made there. So I want to rewind to the very, very beginning. Last time you put pieces together, you solved the crime. Do you want to be evidence again? This is Kayla Newell. Do I not learn my lesson? Kayla, congratulations on 19 months. That's awesome. Ohio's Eastern. Okay, well, we'll get that. Let me, while we're sitting here, let me get this loaded to top.
Sir, you're reminded that you're still under oath, okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Siderbean?
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions for this witness.
Mr. Keller?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Baka, remember for 26 months. Oh, gee. So love my RA family. Thank you very much, Baka.
Mr. Shemsky,
Here's cross-exam.
your appearance at the Stermer property was for what reason?
I was hired by Farm Bureau Insurance to conduct an investigation into the cause and origin of the fire.
And was that just based on the fact that someone had called and wanted to know the origin and the cause of the fire?
No, it would be very typical in a fire loss.
Literally what
that
he just said.
An insurance carrier that covers a property would request an investigation to determine what happened.
Okay. And did you work with you said it was Farm Bureau?
Yes.
Yeah. And so you were on a contract basis with Farm Bureau, is that right?
Yeah, basically, yeah. They pay our hourly rates. We conduct our investigation. When we're completed, we send the reports, the documentation, and an invoice to Farm Bureau for the work that we did.
Okay. So you're billing Farm Bureau by the hour?
Yes.
That way there are so
And-
many ums.
The company that you was working for, was it your company?
No. At that time, it was a company called Kirby Bailey and Associates, which was an independent investigative company.
Okay. And so your credentials were that you were a fire investigator, is that correct?
Yes.
But not an expert, right?
No, I've qualified and testified as an expert many times.
Okay. And do you have a particular specialty in reference to your investigation of fires?
I guess I don't, we do a fire investigation, the normal procedures, interview the occupants, homeowner, any witnesses, photograph the exterior, interior, do a scene examination, and then document what you did, the standard fire investigation.
But isn't the main reason why an insurance company would hire an investigator to determine the cause and origin of the fire is...
I'm going to object at this point. We're not entering Mr. Shinsky in as an expert, and so I think we're starting to get into expert questions and expert testimony.
Your Honor, I hadn't said anything about...
You said expert. Good. Another sidebar. I haven't heard any new words today. We do have a counter of 13, is what I show on our new word counter. So if we were to activate that, it looks a little bit like this. So keep in mind, we'll be watching for new words. Maybe they're using that. Look at that wood. Look at the whole backdrop. It's like a mantle, like an overgrown mantle behind the judge there. A lot of intricate woodwork. Not heavenly wood, but close. But then look at the seats. Look at those terrible seats. Hardback chairs for the gallery. That is miserable. Guess court is not supposed to be fun. Sloth Life, thank you very much for the super sticker. How's it going? It's going great. How are you doing? Hopefully you're doing a little better today. There are no curtains for sure, just hardwood. I believe that is a daughter. I think her daughter might be on her side, and her sons are on a different side. I know the family's split. Tell me about it. My back aches. I've been sitting here all day. Oh. Are we done? It's going to bring some more paperwork up. Talk with defense. It's like an old school bar. That'd be a pretty cool venue if you had like an old courthouse that you converted to I think a sports bar would be great, but TVs everywhere. But then I'm a little bit partial to tech. Daughters are on her side, sons are against her, says ACN. Yes, the family's split. Is the witness that was detained testifying today? She should be. I don't know when. I think they're going to finish this witness who was on the stand on Friday before they call her. There's no rush. Fingers aren't working today. They're taking the day off. Any news on the Lori Vallow jury? Not yet. Not yet. I think they're doing jury selection for her and Karen Reed at the same time, and it might take a while for both. Probably easier for Lori Vallow in Arizona than for Karen Reed. The bar would have a drink called Motions and Lemonade, made from limoncello. I don't know what limoncello is. Motions and Lemonade is a great courtroom flavored bar drink. Name. Thursday drink specials. Buy 3 drinks, got a DUI free. Fuzzy kettle.
Yeah. So, Mr. Shipsky, when you were retained by the insurance company, tell me, to this jury, exactly what they asked you to do, other than just saying origin and cause of fire? Because obviously you spent a great deal of time at the location interviewing Linda Stermer.
Yes.
Now, what do they expect you to do when you go out on one of these retained contracts?
With any of the insurance companies, they would request with any of the companies that we've worked for, they would request a fire investigation, which would include interviews, if necessary, neighborhood canvass, witness interviews, homeowner interviews, photographs, floor plans, what you would do in a complete investigation. And that would be the same for every company that we work for, insurance or otherwise.
So your interviews, would that be interviews of individuals that were not part of the family?
In this case, no, I didn't conduct interviews outside of that.
So who all did you interview?
Linda Stermer.
And is she the only person that you interviewed?
Yes,
The only person.
the only one that I can recall.
And in reference to the interviews pertaining to Ms. Stermer, you only communicated that information back to Farm Bureau, is that right?
It would have been in my report that went to Farm Bureau, yes.
You only communicated with Farm Bureau?
Pardon me?
Did you only communicate the information that you received from Ms. Stermer to Farm Bureau?
Possibly with the attorneys for Farm Bureau, if they contacted me regarding the work. But I don't recall any other outside contacts or activity.
Are you sure?
Sitting here right now, I can't, yeah.
Well, did you have any communications in reference to your investigations with any law enforcement agency?
My first day on the fire scene, if I recall, I was going to look at my photos and didn't this weekend. I forgot about it, just to check the date. I believe I was there my first day, and the state police investigator, Scott Leroy, was there, and I believe there might have been someone from the sheriff's department, and I believe the MSP ran an accelerant canine in the home.
Okay, Mr. Shimsky, I just want you to tell me, based upon your investigation, the assignment that you was given under that contract, did you have some communications in reference to Ms. Stermer with a law enforcement agency outside of the date that you was there interviewing Ms. Stermer?
Objection, Your Honor, asked and answered.
No, he's not answered that.
Did I have a conversation about Mrs. Stermer with law enforcement?
Let me just ask you this. Seems like we're getting a little confused.
We're getting a little confused.
You're there to interview Linda Stermer pursuant to a contract that you had with Farm Bureau, right?
Correct.
Who at Farm Bureau contacted you?
I was contacted by the agent, or by the adjuster was Rodney Thuma,
Rodney Thuma.
who is now retired from Farm Bureau.
Do you know why he contacted you?
I was a regular investigative company and investigator that would have been on the insurance company's list of approved investigators to handle their investigations.
Had you had business with Rodney Thuma before?
Yes,
How many times?
many times.
Okay. And on most of the times that you had in reference to investigations with Rodney Thuma, you were able to determine that there was fraud involved in reference to the fire that may have been referred to as an arson. Isn't that correct?
No, I've had all kinds of fires, accidental fraud, lightning. We do the investigation. They have a loss. They call us, do the investigation, and it is what it is when you're done with your investigation.
Okay. Well, are there certain factors that you have as far as your arsenal of information to look for when you go out and perform one of these investigations that's been assigned to you by the insurance company?
Yeah, that would be all of your training, education, seminars, on-the-job training, your schooling, fire investigation experience, your applications and acceptance and approval for certification through the national certification agencies would all be part of your job training and requirements, one, to become certified, and two, to conduct proper fire investigations.
And that's to determine the cause and origin of a fire, right?
Correct, the origin and cause.
So there's a lot of education, a lot of on-the-job training, a lot of workshops, a lot of seminars, a lot of specialty training that you have that would give you the education that's necessary to make valid decisions in reference to an investigation of a fire, right?
Yes,
To make a decision based upon the cause and the origin of a fire, right?
yes.
And how many years have you been doing this?
I went on my first fire as a trooper out of the Niles Post in 1982. And I've worked continuously in the fire investigation training, certification of the state police investigators years ago before the national certifications. I retired in 2003 from the state police, went to work for Kirby Bailey and Associates at that time. Kirby Bailey then became the Raymond Group, had an investigative section, and I work there. I'm now in my 22nd year there, retired as of December 31st of 23, but I'm on part-time basis till I can complete the litigation files that are still open.
You kind of digressed a little bit from what I was really asking, but I'm going to accept that, and I thank you for that in reference to your training. With that, would a layperson, in your opinion, be able to tell you exactly what the cause of a fire is, who has absolutely no training in reference to what you just gave a long list of, that walked in a room, saw the flames in a room, saw a human being on fire? Would you expect that individual to tell you exactly how the fire started?
The layperson would have to conduct a full investigation in order to render that opinion.
Okay. Well, isn't it true that on January the 7th, that you, in approximately 72 hours after January the 7th, where there was a fire and a fatality, that you show up on the scene and you expected Ms. Stermer to tell you exactly how the fire started? Isn't that true?
That would be one of the questions you asked, if you had any knowledge of what happened. That's why we do interviews, is to gain information.
There's a difference between your knowledge as a fire investigator, because that's what you was out there to do, was determine the origin and the cause of the fire. But you're interviewing Ms. Stermer, and all she could tell you was that she went up to the stairs and she saw the flames in the room. Isn't that true?
Yes.
So you wouldn't expect any layperson that has none of the skill sets that you have, none of the education that you have in reference to the origin and the cause of a fire, to be able to tell anyone, insurance company, law enforcement officer, unless they specifically saw someone light a match, firecracker, or any factual eyewitness without
Those are the
being
two
a
methods
factual
you can do.
eyewitness. Wouldn't it be absolutely impossible for them to give you an explanation as to how a house burnt down and an individual human being that was in the house caught on fire? Yes or no?
No,
It would not be possible, right?
I don't believe so, no.
Thank you.
Sloth Life, thanks for gifting 5 memberships. Thank you very much. Pacifically. He said Pacifically? New word? That's an add one to the
You
queue.
referenced to on page 62 of of this interview that let me just make sure that we don't misstate what was on the screen.
That would be good.
And you have your transcript there, Mr.
We're here in this new
Shimsky, is
trial.
that correct? On page 62. And I'll just reference to the 5th line, and that's J, that's you. Is that right? You see it?
Yes, is that the one that starts out?
Yes,
Could-
sir.
Could you
Yes, sir.
understand?
Yes, sir. You asked, could you understand anything that he was saying? I mean, when he first started screaming, was he yelling, fire, yelling, get out? I mean, no, these are kind of,
She's on bond.
you see that?
$10,000 bond.
Meticulous, because what I'm looking at is trying to reconstruct. So, 72 hours after Ms. Stermer had endured one of the worst tragedies that an individual could imagine. But you are...
This is testimony by the attorney.
Your Honor, I'm just cross-examining, and it's my opportunity to cross-examine. May I go? May I finish it? So, Mr. Shimsky, what was it that you wanted her to reconstruct that you were referring to when you made that statement?
It was a question asking her what her husband was saying. Was he yelling? And it's one of those, she was the witness in the sense that she was in the home at the same time he was. And any of the information that she would have would certainly be valuable in evaluating a time frame. She'd been up and down the stairs by her own information on the interview, upstairs, downstairs. What's the time sequence from when she was downstairs and there was no fire upstairs? She comes upstairs and now the room is full of fire. That time sequence, it takes time for fires to develop. And it isn't a flash at times depending on what's going on. That question was merely, can she fill in the sequence of events that she best recalled so that in my brain, analyzing what I have on the fire scene, can determine we go from no fire to a heavily involved fire in 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or maybe she'd been downstairs for 4 hours. If I don't talk to her and ask her those questions, how can I ever assess that information?
Okay. So I'll take that as your answer. Then, if we're only talking about that in reference to the fire, why was there so much time spent about the marital relation?
The conversation with problems to find out what's going on in the home. The interview is a general interview on the home, living there, day-to-day routine, day-to-day life, so you can establish this is the normal for the home. And in the conversations with problems and issues, she had voiced issues with her husband and some issues and problems they were having, and it certainly would be good to know what those problems were. I'd ask the questions and she would answer the questions.
I know that, but I'm asking you this question. What did a marital relationship in reference to two parties having disagreements that you took a lot of time impinging upon, what did that have to do with the fire in your investigation?
That's part of the information required to assess all of the information that comes out of the fire. including the scene investigation, any evidence that was collected, and that's standard on all investigations.
Including whether or not you had paid your bills on time, whether or not you had anything that was delinquent, whether or not you had been in bankruptcy or filed bankruptcy. All of that is part of issues that you were assigned to go out and try to obtain from the victim of a fire. Isn't that correct?
No, sir. I've never been directed by an insurance company on what to go look for.
Well, if you're not directed by the insurance company, it's part of what your skill set is, right? It's part of your protocols, right?
My skill set is a fire investigator. I'm retired out of the state police. I spent 25 years investigating all kinds of things, and obtaining information is what we do as investigators.
My point is that you obtained all of this information, and then you assessed that information to determine whether or not there was any fraud involved in reference to insurance and the fire. Isn't that correct?
That information, well, with the questions when you listed the bankruptcy things, those were her answers. They weren't specifically in the question. I was asking general questions, problems, issues. And yes, investigating fires, you run across accidental fires, we run across arson fires, and you run across fires that could be fraud related. And interviewing is the way you obtain information to make those assessments. And it does not change the process of how you investigate the fire, what documentation you do, how you conduct your actual origin and cause. The background, the interviewing, the witnesses is all part of a standard investigation.
Were you able to verify any information in reference to the finances of Mr. and Mrs. Stermer?
That would not be my job. That would be handled by the insurance carrier.
So you obtained the information in reference to the mortgage, the history of their mortgage. Is that correct? You inquired as to whether or not the house was under a mortgage. Is that correct?
No, I don't think I asked that.
You didn't?
No. I'd have to go through the transcript. I don't believe I asked that question.
So the issue about the finances, you didn't inquire about that?
No, that's my role would be gather the initial information. That all gets forwarded to the client, in this case Farm Bureau. I did no legwork, no outside interviews, no follow-up investigation, nothing on the finances, because that would be handled, which is normal, by the insurance carrier.
When you asked Ms. Stermer about money that was owed, did she just volunteer that to you without you prompting it with a question?
Yes.
I'd have to look at the question because she's the one that explained who she owed money to. I'd have to look at what page you got in the transcript.
That's because you want the person that you're interviewing to explain to you questions that you are presenting to them, right?
Right, but I don't recall the specific question that she answered with that information about the money owed to relatives.
Go ahead. Look at the transcript. I'm pretty sure she was just freely offering this information.
Let's go to page 81.
Let's see what it says.
So if you go to where it starts out in the middle of the page, L. I know that Todd's mom can confirm this, that if you had to ask her But last year, I asked her to please not loan Todd any more money.
Ella's Linda.
That it just kept him from going out and, you know, us being self-sufficient. And he owes her I owe her a great sum of money. So when he asked her this last time to borrow money, she sent him in the direction of his sister, because she didn't have any more money to loan him. I think that we owe Sandy several thousands and Now my question is, Mr. Shimsky, that was a response to something that you had to ask her, isn't that correct?
Correct, and that's blacked out in the transcript.
But just
I don't recall the question.
Okay, you don't recall it, but now.
It's not in the transcript here, it's been blacked out.
But you recall, though, that would be part of your interview protocol in reference to your investigation of a fire cause and origin.
Yeah, it wouldn't be unusual.
It would.
Wouldn't be unusual to ask questions, but the specific question I don't know.
But so when I asked you earlier, do you ask and inquire about individuals' finances, you kind of acted like that's not part of what you do. But you do.
Well, that would be part of the general information, yes.
And you would want to know whether or not somebody has a lot of outstanding debts. You would want to know whether or not they got a gambling problem, wouldn't you?
Yep, if they answer the questions and explain it,
You want to know
yes.
whether or not they filed bankruptcy in the last 5 years.
Correct.
And you would want to know whether or not their mortgage was paid or not paid timely, wouldn't you?
General information, yes.
You'd want to know whether or not they've had any cars repossessed in the last 5 or 10 years, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'd never go into that detail.
What's more deep? Is that any?
Yeah, to go down the list of possible financial, it's what's the condition, is the mortgage paid on time? I don't usually ask about gambling debts.
Well, why don't would you just, for the sake of time, would you tell me what all you do ask in reference to the financial backgrounds when you're interviewing someone that the insurance company has sent you out to interview for the cause and origin of a fire? Would you please?
Would be, again, general information, who's living in the home, condition of the home, excuse me, as we went through pretty extensively, what was there, is there a mortgage on the property, who is the carrier for the mortgage? To be honest with you, I don't ask, is the mortgage on time? Is it paid? I ask the carrier because I'm not doing a financial investigation. And when you ask that question, is there a mortgage? Generally people will say, yeah, I have a mortgage through so-and-so, and it's current. My role is general
Go ahead,
information.
give me the rest of the list.
Pardon me?
The rest of your list.
That would be the list. I mean,
That
I
would
don't,
be it?
about, repossessions, gambling debts, I don't go into that on my initial interview.
And you asked about marital relations in reference to what does the two married individuals do on a daily basis. You asked about whether or not they have any arguments. You asked about whether or not they have any fights. You asked about, are there any plans to file a divorce? You asked about whether or not they plan on separating. You asked all those questions, don't you?
I would have asked the question, are there any problems or issues? I don't go into the specific, are you getting divorced? Are you moving out? Those were things that she forwarded in our discussion.
Well, you said in your interview, you asked her, had he ever harmed her?
After she had relayed information about some of the incidents, the arguing, the yellowing, and as I'm listening to her answers, it would prompt another question to try to figure out where we're at as far as the relationship.
But that's all based upon professional interviewing skill sets that you have been trained to do. Isn't that correct?
I mean, standard interviewing.
Yes, but it's a trained process, right?
Yes, there is.
Thank you. Now, You also reference to flammable liquids that you inquired of Ms. Stermer that was on the property. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now that's a very important aspect of an investigation.
Yellowing is a word.
Flammable
It's just used incorrectly.
liquids or any accelerant that's on the property that's been burned. Isn't that correct?
That would be a standard question as far as any kind of flammables and the location where they would be, with lamp oils, gasoline, kerosene, sheds, garages, some people stored in their homes. That would be a standard question in any investigation. Where are the location of any accelerants that would be fuel that could assist in any kind of a fire, accidental or intentional?
But for the cause of the fire, if you knew that the cause of the fire was from a flammable liquid, an accelerant, and it was known to be on the property based upon the individual's information that was being interviewed, makes your job a lot easier, and it makes your case a lot quicker case to close. Isn't that correct, as far as the cause and origin? I'm asking him a question. He can say yes or no.
The question, I
Judge Lousy.
assume, on accelerants would be a standard question that I would ask. And I did not know anything about accelerants involved in the fire as the cause of the fire at all at the time I conducted my interview.
But you asked about it,
I
right?
asked about it on every single fire scene.
I'm
Are
not
there
talking about
accelerants
everything.
on the
I
property?
just want to know about
Yeah.
the Stermer case.
Yes, I asked her about that.
You asked her about it.
Are there accelerants on the property?
Yes. And she told you
She went to get
that
gas
there
the
was
night before.
kerosene that was used in the house with lamps. Isn't that what she told you?
She indicated there was a kerosene heater that they had used the winter before in the living room area. And she talked about oil lamps, 2 small oil lamps on the half wall. And then she also talked about a candle on the half wall.
Well, the lamps, were they lamps that had to be, they had to use fuel?
Yes,
Did she tell you what type of fuel it was?
she called them oil lamps.
These lamps use fuel?
And you didn't inquire any further to determine whether or not
No, they're magic.
what the oil was?
No, she said they were oil lamps. And generally, oil lamp would be different than gasoline, fuel oil, or other fuels. You wouldn't want fuel oil in your oil lamps because with fuel oil or other heavier oils, you get thick
Smokes.
black smoke. If you're using a scented candle, you certainly don't want it pumping out thick black smoke because of the kind of fuel. Lamp oil is a much lighter accelerant or ignitable fuel, as the terms are called in
Combust more
today's world.
completely.
So can you tell me what the flammable oil was that she told you that was in the house?
Lamp oil.
Is lamp oil flammable?
Yes, and that was her description of it.
Flammable.
Do you know just buying something off the counter, is it called lamp oil?
Yes, you can buy lamp oil.
Right.
You have buy with tiki torches. You can buy the containers for your yard. It would be lamp oil, which is a lighter fuel.
And it's used to start a fire, right?
It could be by an arsonist.
Yeah.
We're going to count flammable. It's a made-up word because flammable is spelled differently.
So on page 74 of your interview, you see that on J?
Which
J, you asked the question, any flammable liquid stored inside the house. And then you specifically asked any gasoline, kerosene. And you say, I think you mentioned that with the oil lamps, you had some lamp oil, right?
correct.
you asked where would that have been stored at, right?
Yes.
And the answer was underneath the kitchen, underneath the sink in the kitchen, correct?
Correct.
And she further stated that in our bedroom, Todd would leave the bottle on the nightstand or by the nightstand if he had filled it up. Is that correct?
Yes.
In the furnace room, when he'd bleed it out, he didn't always take it out and dump it back into the tank. Sometimes there'd be a 2-liter bottle where he had, done that. And you asked, but that would be left in the basement? And she would respond, in the basement. And you asked, in the furnace room. And she says, furnace room, And you ask, now when he bleeds it out normally, is that it? He just bleeds it into a bottle or something? And the response is, yup. Is that a yes to you?
Yes.
Okay. Now, as an investigator, looking for the cause and the origin, knowing this, and you didn't dispute it, you could actually put in your report that that could have been a possible cause of the fire. Isn't that correct?
No, she's describing fuels.
But you're looking for answers about what's in the house, right?
Correct.
You're trying to find information about flammable liquids that's in the house, right?
Yes.
You can't say it started in the
And
basement.
this is not as an
if she ran
expert.
upstairs
This
and
is
found
as
fire.
nothing but an investigator, right?
Well, as an investigator with fire experience,
Yeah, but-
and that's, you would discuss the fuels. And that, again, with the fuels and the differences when we talk about the furnace would be fuel oil is completely different fuel than lamp oil.
But just, Mr. Shimsky, tell this jury,
This
what
juror.
can either one of these oils do to a house if a match is lit to it?
Well, depending on the oil, the thicker the oil, we're getting, okay. The oils will burn if ignited, but in order to ignite it, you have to heat the oil above its flash point, which is the temperature that the oil can give off enough vapors to ignite, and then you have enough heat for it to reach its ignition temperature so that it can ignite. Gasoline's flash point is minus 45 degrees Fahrenheit, so anything above 45, you have enough vapors that can ignite. Now, if we get into fuel oil or diesel fuel, the flash point on it is about 325 degrees, so that you would have to hold the match and hold it and hold it and hold it until you heat the fuel up enough to vaporize with the right gas-air mix for that match to actually ignite. I mean, I can walk into a puddle of diesel fuel, lay a flaming flare into the middle of the puddle and walk away without any worry that it's going to blow me up. The different fuels react different ways. Yes, they will burn once ignited.
That's the only answer I was looking for.
Well, we have
My only question is, it can cause a fire, yes or no?
It would be fuel for a fire. Cause, in my world, cause has a different description. I understand what you're going at, I think, but to say that the fuel is the cause of the fire, that's only 1/3 of the fire triangle.
I didn't say the fuel was the cause of the
No,
fire.
but you're saying, isn't it, that this oil could be the cause of the fire? And my answer is no, it would be fuel for the fire,
Yeah.
not the cause of the fire.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Fuel
Sit
for
down.
the fire. Okay. So let me just ask you this, since you want to be so technical about the fuel. If, in fact, that something from the fireplace caused the fire, the fuel could enhance the fire. Would that be fair?
Yes.
Thank you. But we don't know if anything from the fireplace caused the fire, right?
Correct.
In your report, you didn't make any conclusions as to what caused the fire, right?
No.
That was not getting technical.
So on page 83 of your report, you
Of the transcript?
I'm seeing of your transcript. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Of your transcript. I'm sorry.
Just ordered a little more tech gear. And my salesperson texted me, says, hey, I was going to call you, but I saw you were live streaming.
So on 83,
awesome.
your question is, was he wearing the same clothes Saturday that he wore Sunday? And the response, oh, Sunday he was wearing sweatpants. I don't remember what he was wearing Saturday. Sunday he had on sweatpants. That's your response back. And she says, mm-hmm. And you asked what kind of shirt did he have on? And she said, I don't remember if he had on a shirt. And you asked, okay, and would it be normal for him if he wore clothes, well, let's say Saturday when he was bleeding the furnace, if he had gotten oil on him, would he have worn those same clothes all night? The response was no. And she states he was a little bit more neater than that. He was a pretty boy. Now, my question is, then the oil on the clothes has some bearings in reference to your seeking out information about the cause and the origin of the fire. Is that correct?
Yes.
Were you told when you was asked to come, when you was given this assignment, that there had been a fatality?
Yes.
You were told that up front, right?
Yes, I believe so.
So what would the oil have any importance in reference to sweatpants?
Well, the oil, as in the interview, she had described the fact that her husband would have to bleed the furnace to get it to run. It'd be fuel oil. If he'd gotten some on his clothing, again, the fuel oil could be on his clothing. In a fire, if there's oil on the clothing, the oil would ignite along with the clothing because it's fuel.
Kind of back to what I was trying to say a few minutes ago, right?
Right. It's not a simple explanation.
You know, an arson fire shouldn't be simple. I mean, it would take a lot for somebody to do something like this, so I'm not trying to be simplistic about it. I apologize.
Thank you.
Did he say simplicit in that? It takes a lot for someone to be simplicit in that? What was the word there? Somebody rewind for just a second. There's a lot of people talking.
And then you went to on page 85.
Trust you, Greeners Nusky. I don't know which one you are now.
You asked the
Adam or
question,
Greeners.
is he capable of lighting himself on fire? Or trying to burn the house and getting caught in it? I mean, has he ever said he was gonna burn the house to get rid of it?
Is that a question?
You asked that question because you thought that in part of your investigation that Mr. Stermer could have caused the fire?
I asked that question after I was told by Mrs. Stermer in the interview about the issues that they were having, the things that he had told her, and if he's there with her, there's only two people home, inquiring as to what's his state of mind. Has he ever threatened to do this? And her answer was, on the last section, was no.
And did your investigation, did you find any information in reference to Mr. Stermer having any fires before?
No, I did not.
You did not?
No, I did not.
Okay. So after the information that you are receiving from Ms. Stermer, do you try to corroborate any of that information in your investigation working for the insurance company?
No, as I said, I would do the scene investigation, and in the insurance industry, they'll generally they'll separate the fire investigation from any additional follow-up financial examinations. Basically, my job is to determine what caused the fire, gather the general information to do that, and any other follow-up investigation would be done by other people or other people that were hired.
So you don't make any attempts to excavate or
Excavate? You don't make any attempts to, did I hear that right? To excavate? Excavate? I heard excavate. He's making all sorts of new words. Let me see if excavate is a word. That just sounds like something it might be a word. Define excavate. Appears there might be a typo in your request. He probably meant excavate, but he definitely said excavate. So we'll add this to the list, and that's going to be, let's see, number 18. All right. I heard B, excavate. Feel bad for the court reporter. Maybe he's just smarter than us. He might be. I learn new words almost every single day. Just because I don't know it's a word does not mean it's not actually a word. We've been trying to only count times where he makes up a word, or someone else in the courtroom, although he's currently the leading contributor, makes up a word. Somebody's tired. Get a little shut-eye. Those comfortable benches. Just don't snore. We're only counting times when they use a word that is not real. The court TV is like, watch this guy's nodding off. Oh. I think Red Pen is probably with Brandy doing some Karen Reed stuff. She's, I think, really into that case.
So, Mr. Shimsky,
I'm loading it to Top Mark Media right now.
After you finish your interview with Ms. Stermer, that doesn't become the end of your assignment that you were given, or that the contract that you had with the company, right?
Correct.
Because then you have to go and try to determine whether or not you can corroborate any of the structural damage to the property. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Lady J80, welcome to the gallery. Also, Jen Jams, welcome to the gallery.
And
Thank you
in
both.
reference to the structural damage, you would then have to contract with someone else to come out and do the excavation of the house, of the burn, right?
No, I conducted that.
Did you do the excavation yourself?
Yes.
Physically, hand by hand?
Physically, hand by hand, and hired an excavator so we could remove the areas of the house that were hanging over the burned out section on the rear of the home so that it was safe to get in and actually do that.
That's what I said. You had to hire someone.
A machine operator.
Yeah, but that's some person had to operate that.
I thought you were talking investigatively to do it.
No, no. How many days did it take you to perform the excavation of the property?
I believe I was there 2 days,
2 days?
part of one day, and then the day with the machine that was utilized so we could make it safe to get in with the areas of the upper floor, the main floor that were kind of hanging over the basement area.
Okay.
It's a different form of the same word. I'm not going to count it again.
And from the excavation of the property, you then prepared a written report. Is that correct?
Yes.
Have a second.
He may be done here, which is good for y'all because Roro says get a gift membership when this attorney sits down. So maybe now's the time. Hopefully you have your gift membership setting turned on so you can receive it. A couple more questions here.
And when did you submit your report to the insurance company?
I'd have to look at the date on it. It would have been, sometime after the scene investigation was completed. Normally, it would be within a couple of weeks. Could be a little bit longer. I don't recall off the top of my head.
A couple of weeks?
Yeah, normally it would be within 2 weeks, sometimes longer. Sometimes a client will say, we don't need a report at this time. When you get into a subrogation file or something like that, a lot of times they don't want you to write a report until they determine whether the case is moving ahead.
Okay. May I have a second, Your Honor? I think we have another.
Somebody dropped something. Or he tripped, one of the two.
Yes. Your Honor, may we approach the bench quick?
Deb in Indiana, welcome to the gallery. Thank you very much. Love having you here. I think they're probably done here. Defense did not get very far with this fire investigator. They wanted to make it look like he was trapping her with questions and drawing out all this information that she shouldn't be talking about. And he was like, no, I just asked my same form questions, and she just volunteered information, a ton of it. She brought it up. She brought up the insurance. She brought up the life insurance. She brought up the owing money. She brought up all sorts of stuff. I just did the same thing I normally do, which is just ask the initial questions to get the ball rolling, and then I turned over to the insurance company. They wanted him to be the bad guy, and he held his own really well. So when the lawyer says, can I have a second or can I have a minute, can the judge say no? Yes. It's rare, and usually there has to be a reason. If the lawyer is asking to approach, they typically have something that like an objection that should not be heard in front of the jury. Let's see what happens here. I am uploading the baseball bat closings, which happened this morning, to the Top Mark Media channel. It's a 39 gigabyte file, so it has about 23 minutes.
Some housekeeping, Your Honor.
Hang on. Did they just bifurcate the cross-examination? They just tag-teamed the other lawyer came in?
Good morning, Mr. Shinsky.
Good morning.
You and I just met,
Yes, we did.
and we have an interesting common background.
Yes.
Went to the same high school,
We dated the same
a
girls.
little bit before me. Mr. Shinsky, what did you review to get ready for today?
Mainly, I read through my report and the transcript of the interview with Linda Stermer.
When did you do that?
Off and on for the last several weeks. I'd read parts of it and go through it. To sit down and read 93 pages gets tiresome.
I don't doubt it. We heard that. The report was fresh in your mind, I take it?
Vaguely.
Well, you read it over and over. You said,
Well, I mean, I've looked at the report, read through it.
okay. You understand it's very important you're coming to testify at trial today, right?
Yes.
Thank
And you want to have
Roro.
a good, fresh memory so you can help the jury do its job and understand the evidence, right?
Yes.
I want to call your attention. You remember when you testified earlier that the only person you interviewed was Linda Stermer?
Yes.
Okay.
They just tag-teamed
Show
this.
you your report.
Very rare to
Do you have
see.
a copy?
No, I
Two
do not.
lawyers.
You didn't even bring the
My
file?
my information, I wasn't testifying as an expert in this file.
It's very rare to see two lawyers from the same side question one witness. The judge allowed it. So defense is still cross-examining here.
Your report, page 7, indicates that on January 15, 2007, you had contact with Michael Matheny.
Yep.
I guess we would have him to refresh his recollection with the report or testify from the report. Those are two different things.
Your Honor, I'm just asking, I'm telling him this is what it says. Do you remember that?
Well, why don't you take the report from him then, if he doesn't need it to refresh his recollection?
Do you now remember this?
Off the top of my head, no. I'd have,
But
it's 17 years ago.
Understood. It would have certainly been accurate when you wrote it.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you recall Mr. Matheny in his interview telling you, and you understood he was the first person on the scene,
Yes.
besides Linda Stermer, obviously,
Correct.
right? Do you recall Mr. Matheny telling you,
Objection, hearsay.
it's for impeachment? He says he didn't remember any of this.
Well, you can ask him if he interviewed him or not. That's the impeachment,
No.
not what the statements are containing. That's hearsay.
That is not offered. It's offered
it
for
offered
impeachment.
for?
Doesn't remember anything about this. I'm asking him for his
First off, I've
recollection.
got, you're holding this report, are you refreshing, or is he, are you coming in
I'm
under
just
refreshing
asking.
memory, or?
Yes,
Okay, then have him look at the report and put it down.
page 8.
Can I review the report?
Yes, you can review it if it would refresh your recollection, but then you need to put it aside, sir.
Pam Jams, 25 months. Love the pickles in there. Congratulations, OG.
Just looking for page 7 and 8 where you interviewed Mr. Matheny.
Still licking his fingers. Lick and turn, lick and turn. He did this wrong. He really did. He should have asked
Yes.
the question first and then refreshed his
Does
recollection.
that
so
bring
just
back
handed it to him.
the content of your interview with Mr. Matheny?
It would have to be what I have in my file.
All right,
Do I first have memory of the conversation? No.
of course not, right? Do you recall, as part of your investigation, you want to know what everybody thinks and sees and hears at the scene, right?
Correct.
Do you recall anybody telling you that there was no odor on Mr.
Objection is to hearsay, Your Honor. Again, now we're asking for an out-of-court statement for the truth of the matter.
Not offered for the truth of the matter asserted, offered in what he does to take him to the next step of his investigation. They rely on these
Witness who
materials.
testified to something and you're impeaching with extrinsic evidence, or
It's simply, it's not hearsay because it's not offered for the truth of the matter asserted.
okay, what is
It's
this?
offered for the foundation of what he does next in his investigation as he gathers evidence.
What was your question again?
Simply, did anybody tell you that they smelled, and I'm talking about the first people who were there, like Mr. Matheny, that they smelled any odor of gasoline or anything on Todd Stermer?
Sustain that objection.
Again, I object for you to hearsay.
I'm going to sustain the objection on hearsay grounds.
Did you, as you reviewed your report, have some indication of whether Todd Stermer, I thought you testified in reading that Todd Stermer was in the recliner when Linda Stermer saw him on fire?
That would have been my description of what I'd learned through the investigation.
Okay,
I didn't know he was in there other than what I'd learned from the scene.
but you used that as part of your investigation in gathering the facts, right?
That would be part of the facts, yes.
And so what you testified to, what you gathered from Linda Stermer, was that when she ran up the stairs, Todd Stermer, her husband, was in the recliner, right?
Yes,
And he was on fire.
yes,
And the recliner was on fire.
yes.
All right. Let me direct your attention to page number 5
Are we talking about the transcript or of the report?
of the report.
Once again, Your Honor, he can't testify from his report.
Your Honor, he just testified as to what Linda Stermer told him. And I'm pointing out something for impeachment
From the transcript.
from his report
Okay.
based on the
On
transcript.
What's the objection, Mr.
So the
Wade?
objection, Your Honor, is he, first he needs to, the foundation is not correct for asking these questions. We're skipping over several steps here.
You wrote a report, correct?
Yes,
You're trained to be accurate, correct?
yes,
You try to be accurate, correct?
yes,
You try to be as detailed as possible, correct?
yes,
All right, and when you recounted your conversation on or about January 9 or 10 with Linda Stermer, you recounted it accurately, didn't you?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so at the bottom of page 5, let me know when you're with me, the last couple lines.
Yes,
She, Linda, indicated that the recliner where her husband was last seen was engulfed in a large ball of flames, as was her husband, who was standing by the door to the master bedroom, which is located off the living room. Is that what you wrote?
yes.
And that was accurate because you're trained to be accurate.
Yeah, that was accurate. In the transcript, I think she described him in a couple of different locations in that proximity. In the
My
transcript.
question is simply, sir, you were trained to be accurate and you wrote it accurately.
Yes,
It's one of the versions she told.
Let's go to my
Please do that.
You talked a little bit about your background, but I think you were a fire investigator for the Michigan State Police for
Your Honor, this has been asked to answer that across. Mr. Kelly actually asked several of these questions.
not specifically about his training with the MSP and his certifications.
Very brief inquiry into this.
Thank
It
you.
has been
I'll
asked
just
and
ask you real
answered
quickly.
several times.
25 years, if my math is right, with the MSP as a fire investigator?
no, 25 years in the state police.
Okay, how long were you as a investigator?
I was a trooper for 10 years on the road. I began investigating fires and training with about 4 years in as a trooper. And then I did 8.5 years as a full-time fire investigator. And then my last 6.5, I worked out of an investigative resources unit. which was the training and certification of the state police investigators at that time, as well as at that time, state police provided 10 weeks of training programs to other police and fire departments.
Up in Tustin, Michigan.
Yes,
And you were one of the directors of that program, correct?
yes,
All right, so you spent a lot of time not only being trained, but training people
yes.
and certifying fire experts, correct?
Yeah, well, during the state police investigators at that time, and then certification moved into the International Association of Arson Investigators, took over the certification, and that's what all of us go through, is either them or through National Association of Fire Investigators for certification.
And you are certified with the IAAI, correct?
Yes,
The International Association of Arson Investigators.
yes,
You're certified with NAFI, National Association of Fire Investigators.
yes,
You've taught many, many fire investigators through Michigan State, correct?
yes,
Michigan State Police, not the university. Did you train Scott Leroy, who became a fire investigator in 2001,
he would have come through the state's program.
through when you were running it?
God, I would assume so.
Okay. Did you mentor him during his young career?
No objections to relevance, Your Honor. I don't see how this is relevant to the testimony this witness has provided previously in this matter.
It goes to his background and why he's going to be there at the excavation, which we're going to get to right now. Did you train and mentor?
We have a ruling on the objection.
Let me
Apologize.
okay. Is Mr. Leroy will be testifying?
He will
as
be
an
testifying
expert?
next,
Okay. Then
or
I'll-
tomorrow.
Okay, I'll allow it as relevant to that issue, Mr. Leroy's training.
Remember the question?
Without looking at calendar stuff, I would have to assume that he's been in programs that I was either instructing in or coordinating and running, and that more than likely could have been one of his instructors.
So you have a significant amount of expertise and qualifications in fire investigations, which is why you were hired to go to this place, the Stermer residence, correct?
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about that excavation. First of all, can you tell us what excavation is?
Basically, it's physically going into the damaged home, business, whatever, and examine everything that's in the building, structurally, mechanical, electrical, furnaces, anything that could be a source of ignition. Then you physically dig through the debris, remove the ash and leftover wood lumber to identify what items are in there. In that process, you're identifying the damage, if there are fire patterns, which are results left after a fire occurs, burned lumber, patterns on walls, that sort of information. And then at that point, as I described in this one, there was a couple of sections of the home, the main floor hanging over the basement, and it was on the 15th that we brought.
There's an objection. Can we approach? Stephen, congratulations. 18 months. Oh, look, another month to do the thing with the green thing. Yes, it's working. Stephen, thank you very much. I'm missing my water. All right. Who is so noisy, like fingernails on the chalkboard? One of the attorneys, Mike's, I think it's actually the guy who's asking the questions, is flipping his legal pad and hitting the microphone with it.
Sir, one of the main points of doing an excavation, of digging around and in the rubble, is to try to find evidence that will help you determine the origin of the fire, correct?
Yes.
Where the fire started, right?
Yes.
And maybe the causal factors of the fire, correct?
Yes.
What caused the fire, and I'm not going to talk about it in great detail, but you mentioned it earlier. The causal factors are the ignition source, right?
Yes.
Which is the first thing, the thing that caused something to catch fire, right?
Yeah, that would be your source of heat.
Okay. Then the first fuel ignited, correct?
Yes.
Which is the first thing that caught fire, right?
Yes.
And then the causal factor is the circumstances that brought the source and the fuel together. And if you can find those,
Your Honor, I guess I'm going to raise an objection at this point in time. Are we going to qualify him as an expert? We're asking for a lot of expert testimony at this point in time. We're going well beyond lay witness.
I simply went to why he's excavating and its importance.
I'll have you move on.
Thank you.
I think we already covered it.
Let's talk about your excavation. You went there on January 15, correct?
Yes,
You, having been a fire investigator for Michigan State Police, you're private industry at this point, right?
correct.
Do you have to be allowed on the premises by, like a Scott Leroy, the fire investigator?
Yes,
All right. So he must, I would look at it or think of it like he had to release the scene to you or anybody else, right?
correct. Or at least allow me to be there while they were there.
Selena, good luck. It's going to be great.
He wasn't there when you were there,
No, not on the 15th.
or the 11th.
I'd have to look at my photos. I don't recall that specifically.
If he tells us that he was only there on the 8th, the day after the fire, any reason to disagree with him?
No,
So he would have had to release the scene to where you could do what you were going to do, right?
correct.
And you started to do some excavation, am I right?
Yes,
You took pictures of your excavation, right?
yes.
I'm going to show you.
We get excavation pictures? That'd be cool.
A binder of photographs that was provided by the prosecutor that are represented in yours. And in the documents we received, it came in like 2 files, so I call them file 1, file 2. If you can just look through those, you
Thing
might even
one
see
and thing
yourself
two.
in file 2.
Are we moving to omit these, Your Honor?
Or he's got to first identify them. That is my plan.
But I think right now he's just going to
I
see if
just
he
want him
can
to see
recognize
these are
them.
his photos.
These are excavation pictures at the scene. It'd be interesting to see how far the fire burnt. If the fire never got to the basement, the idea that there was 2 liters of heating fuel in a 2-liter bottle down there, irrelevant. You could have all the fuels you want down in the basement, but if they didn't burn, it's not an issue. Thank you, little Uri. I have water. I'm good. The judge has let people walk on top of her and push ahead without a ruling. While he's looking at all these pictures, I'll take this moment to remind you that without geometry, life is pointless.
Yes, these look similar to my photos.
Okay, those represent the scene as you saw it on January 15th. And you're looking at file number 1.
Yeah, file number 1. Yeah, I don't recall off the top of my head what day I was there the first time. I know I did my interview on 9 and 10, but I'm not sure. I don't see, my first day there. But the one on the second batch is definitely on the 15th.
15th.
So whatever day I was there first would be the larger group one.
Fair enough. I'm going to move for the admission of Exhibit 8, which is the first batch, and Exhibit I, which is the second batch of 25 photographs. Okay?
That's a
And
weak
as to
foundation.
Exhibit 8, Your Honor, I'm not going to admit 116 photos. I just have 11 photos, and if I, for the record, can identify them, I'm going to give them to the prosecutor.
What you have marked as an exhibit, prosecutor?
I don't know. Is it H or 8? I couldn't understand.
Mr. Mueller, is it 2 separate things you're moving to admit?
Move for the admission of Exhibit I, 25 photographs from Mr. Shinsky he identified. Move for the admission of Exhibit H, which are a select number of photographs from his file number 1, those photographs being 001, 002, 003, 006, 008, 042, 047, 054.
There's an objection.
056, and 057.
So I guess, and maybe this is my own confusion, Your Honor, are we admitting these or these entire binders?
Just these for Exhibit H. I don't need 116 photos.
Oh, I guess then I don't understand why we showed him a binder of all the photos when, if he can identify, I guess I'm just confused on the foundational
You're
aspects.
moving to admit is what Mr. Glidden, not the
A
entirety of the
subset,
photos.
no, just
Okay.
a subset.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, and the subset, well, I'm just trying to get the record clear. These are H1, 2, 3, 6, and 8.
Well, it'll be 1 through 11. They're going to be, see, remember, Honor, the way we've been doing them?
Yeah.
Point 1 to point whatever. And this would be point 1 to point 11.
That was the most slurred Your Honor I've ever heard. Remember, Honor?
Yeah, we have an H1 already, lacerations.
That
I think that
that should be his photographs.
we have H1 lacerations to head, H2 abrasions to head. Yeah, maybe start your lettering over or something. Okay, so what are you
This
gonna?
is H.
H, just H.
1 through 11.
Okay. Counsel, can you approach, please?
You've made a mess of this, Mr. Attorney. You brought in a big binder. Now you've pulled some out. So you've tried to number them, and the court has to renumber them. You want it to be a separate exhibit, even though it's part of a larger exhibit. And in your efforts to just ram this through without the prosecution understanding exactly what it is, the court clerk is confused. So y'all have to work it out up at the bench. Judge Boyd's going to be on Law and Crime. I think I saw that. It'd be cool to see different angles of her courtroom. The static's working.
Social media, no research or investigations, thank you.
It looks like they're going to lunch right now. We'll give them just a minute to think that one over. Judge Boyd's going to be amazing on Law and Crime. I hope she doesn't change one bit with cameras in the courtroom. She's had quite a few all along, so she's used to it. But she's used to controlling when the cameras are on and when they're off, and so she might say a few things on this trial differently. Can we watch the bat verdict? If it will upload, it's paused now at 84% with 13 minutes left. It's just stuck. I don't know why. Let me see. Next.
The jury's left. Any matters to address in our break, counsel?
Your Honor, I just want to address the fact that there's no way I'm going to be able to get Connie Calhoun on the stand today.
Okay.
So we will offer to put her in a hotel for the night and have her come back tomorrow.
Okay.
But I just wanted the court to be aware of that. So
Yeah, I was thinking we're getting behind.
we're
but-
getting way into the afternoon, and I still have 3 lab people on the detective.
Okay.
Housekeeping wise, with respect to these exhibits, with H and I guess I would ask that the witness be able to review these specific exhibits as he's testifying, not having to flip to a binder of several photos that are irrelevant and not being admitted. If we have an extra copy, or he can even have my copy for all I care, just to look at it. That's my only concern, is just giving him the relevant photos to look at, so we're not.
Are you going to pull out? Are you going to pull out?
Publish them, and I also looked at for the witness.
Okay. You said I'll publish them, and he's got a copy. And then did we sort through the exhibit?
Sure, yeah, an exhibit. I think Mr. Mueller and I were talking about it just real briefly. I think the autopsy photos may have been labeled K. They were K, not I or H or I.
Okay. Okay. Melissa's going to do her magic and correct it.
I know she can. All right.
Anything else, counsel?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you. I'll see you at 1:15. I did want to talk to counsel briefly, but...
Off the record. Okay, so they're gonna go off the record and talk about that. We have a couple things going on. I'm trying to get the baseball bat video to upload, and it is not playing nicely. Let's see. Which maybe if I use a computer that's hardwired instead of not hardwired. Still says 84 minutes. Let's see, schedule stream. Okay, we've got our Day 3, Part 2. It's coming back at 1:15. We'll come back at 1, which gives us... It's only half an hour break. Oh, my goodness. It's crazy. Judge, we need more time than that. The bat trail is going to resume at 1. We're going to be capturing that. I will be posting the closings and that after the fact on Top Mark Media. That means don't spoil it in here. Please, please, please don't spoil it for people who want to watch this. They want to watch the closings and then they watch the rest, and there's a couple hours of delay. Please don't spoil the bat trial. It would be great. All right, hang on. Sorry, trying to get everything done here. Building the portal as we speak. It's now there. Awesome. Okay. Got Ivan on the phone. Hang on just a second.
Call from
Mr. Ayden.
Ivan, how are you doing? Long time no
Hey,
talk.
how's it going?
Doing well.
Yeah, what's new, man?
Well, just kicking back. You're going to have some lunch?
Yeah, what's on the menu?
I don't know. Probably something leftover. That's usually what we do
right.
this time of the week. So maybe some
Did
chips.
I miss any April Fool's shenanigans? Did I miss any?
You might have to go back and watch the intro.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a little
All
something.
right. All right. Well, I know I'll never trust you again after you pulled what you did the last time. So.
Yeah, we did something again, so it's all good.
Right on. I love April Fool's, but I just can't wait for today to be over. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not going to get political. Don't worry about it. But, let's just say I'm going to be relieved when everybody isn't talking about Wisconsin, okay? I thought I would like that, but I don't, all right? I really don't.
You like your state, you just don't like them talking about it. So we hear you.
Hey, man, under the radar, no matter what you're doing, is always best. And, all the extra attention has done nothing to make anybody happier. Let's just say that. So, but in any event, I think it's pretty wild. This lady got a bail, on a 15-year-old retrial. Don't you think that's kind of crazy?
Yeah, it's wild. The fact that she got let out and she had a good reason, but
yeah, I mean, it's. But I can't remember anybody ever getting out on a retrial. I mean, obviously, you know what I mean? I don't think they even have to give you a bail. Maybe it's state by state. I don't know how that works, but.
Well, I think it was probably because of the prosecutorial misconduct. If there had not been that, I think she might have been held. And the amount of time she served. She'd already served almost 9 years when this came in. So,
yeah, well.
So it's like.
I mean, the bail's pretty low, too. It's only $10,000. I mean, that's for what it is. That's not a very high bail for the charges.
She's got
I don't know.
a clean record. So.
Well, okay.
You don't know what that's like, right?
I don't, but that's not my point. Having a clean record is great, but if your first blemish is the most awful thing you can think of, is that really, you know what I mean? I don't know. All right, clean record, fine.
It's all good. I've got only half an hour to go to lunch, so Ivan, I've got to
All right,
wrap this one up. But
Love you
thank you
guys.
very much. Good to hear. We'll see you. Love you, man. Bye. Ivan's awesome. I'll have to connect with him when we've got a little more time. Okay, so I'll play the music one more time and get things wrapped up. I've got to work on this. The upload failed on the bat trial. I've got 39 gigabytes of video. I need to possibly compress it because it's a little big, and YouTube didn't like that. So I'll downgrade it a little bit, re-upload it. We're also going to be capturing the verdict when that comes in. Don't worry, you won't miss it. I'll post that up to the Top Mark Live, so you can go get lunch right now. We're going to come back today and follow the rest of this case. And anyway, I got some new equipment coming. I'm super excited. Sweetwater, thank you very much. It's not that you hooked me up. It's not a sponsor. I pay full price for everything, but they have the right stuff when I ordered it. So it's going to help me be able to track more cases at once live. So that'll be good. Tonight, when you go home, please hug the people you love. Smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better, and please stay safe till we'll live again in half an hour. Man, that's quick. All right. Sounds great. No ASMR.
It's bigger than you.
No ASMR.
It's bigger than you.
Have a good one. We'll see you after.
It's bigger than all.